guys, welcome back to the finale of Astrea's Broken Heart. We are finally here. It was a long time coming. But we are finally here. I'm starting off with Cassiel's route right now. And let's just see what nonsense happens. I hope I'm prepared, but probably not. We'll see. Episode 11, The Last Day of Astrea. No matter what, this is going to be my last day playing this game, this story as well, too. I have no reason to come back because I have every single ally, love interest. Oh, so we're going to do all the save files right now. Warning, this episode contains descriptions of violence, death, and scenes with insects. Please, no. Please be done with caution. I hate the insects. Oh, lovely. The pit. It was the first time the Archangel had touched the abyss. It was a barely perceptible touch, but it was enough to completely take hold of him for a moment. Its ancientness, its boundlessness, its secrets. They were far more captivating than its darkness. Their mortal only came to his senses when the abyss spat them all into the pit. All in his quiet, alluring whisper turned into the wild roar of countless souls. A sudden, horrible pain pierced his body. Voices soaked in despair cracked and broke, desperate to be heard. The sounds overlapped. There was no way to discern a single one. They had merged into a horrible cacophony. Hey, you alright? The demon brushed off a pit dweller and limped toward the others. Is this some kind of joke? Where are we? This is the pit. The inhabitants of this place did not attack Raphael, but they huddled closer as if hoping to touch him. They would reach for the angel with trembling hands the moment he looked away. Why the hell did he throw us down here? He wants to buy time. He could have just killed us and bought himself all the time in this damn world. All their Astreans were alive, but this news brought them no relief. We need to get out. Can you recover on your own, or do you need help? David answered for everyone. We broke a few bones, but it's no big deal. Though he'll know. But Malik's hospitality leaves much to be desired, of course. They could have dropped us off a little more gently. I guess we're heading up? They held their heads in unison, but unsurprisingly, they saw no light. If there was a way out of the pit, it was very high up. Raphael stepped away from an overly persistent member of the dead who had grabbed his feathers. The more the immortals resisted, the bolder the souls of the dead became. Their faces were twisted in horror as they flickered dangerously close. Their torn mouths began to repeat the same words, allowing the Astreans to finally grasp the meaning of their lamentations. The living. Help us. Free us. Free us. Blackened and decomposed, they advanced more bravely. The walls remained of their bodies piled on top of one another. They began to stir and collapsed to the floor by the hundreds. The pit was coming alive. It pulsed, pressing down the living in an attempt to consume them. Stay close to me. The angel released only a small amount of power, but it was enough to make the dead hiss and recoil. A feminine figure shrieked in a high, piercing voice. Where is your mercy, O Lord? An eternity has passed, and my flesh still burns without turning to ash. There's nothing but pain inside. David popped his dislocated shoulder back into place and cracked his neck. Are you ready? Their bodies still ached from the impact, but their broken bones had healed and their wounds had closed. They spread their wings in unison. Try to keep away from the walls. The Archangel flew up first, the rest followed in an uneven formation. They didn't get to fly for long. After a few minutes, the passageway became too narrow for them to spread their wings. In order to keep going up, they had to crawl. Their fingers kept slipping on the slime-covered walls. They dig their hands in knuckle-deep just to keep their grip. They dig their hands into mouths, eye sockets, into decomposed, rotting flesh. As I said, they did say the walls are made of people. This bitch bit me. David jerked his hand back and tossed out a torn-off jaw, annoyed. Cassiel was crawling below him and grimaced in disgust. No wonder Malek escaped to the world of the living. Yeah, I totally see that bastard being thrilled by solid walls without eyes or teeth. Even a stool probably felt like a culture shock to him. Mikael pressed his lips together irritably. I don't think distance is the only thing keeping us from freedom. The Archangel suspected as much, but Raphael's words still irked him. Do you know something? Did Shefa ever tell you about the pit? Shefa told me very little. He even kept quiet about my own mother. But the old man must have told you something, surely. His precious firstborn daughter gave birth to such a charming little creature. Thanks to him, we're here now. Don't tell me he didn't mention that he'd become a grandpa. At first, Raphael was indignant at David's brazen phrasing, but his reaction was more out of habit. Now, there was little left that could evoke any past reverence in the angel. All of Shefa's words had taken on completely different contours. They were now wrapped in questions. He often spoke of the firstborns, but never of their children. Mostly, he just reminded me of the high price of betrayal. Raphael became distracted and almost fell. He managed to grab a bony hand at the last moment. After catching his breath, he continued. He often mentioned Lucina. Lucina? From the legends about the catacombs? She's not a legend. She was a sister of Lucifer, the first immortal to die. Like our Lucifer? Yeah, sister? Is losing his sister while his mom went crazy? Her brother doubted Shefa's power and touched pure evil. It turned him to ash. Okay, so not our Lucifer. There was a different Lucifer before. Shefa forbade Lucina from burying her brother in heaven, so she fled to hell with his ashes. And she dug a grave so deep that even Shefa could not feel it. This pit must have taken her ages to dig it. There was also Shionia. I think he loved her most of all. I could feel his anger when he spoke of her. He gave her Snowy Valley as a gift and locked her inside. He visited from time to time. Wait, I'm sorry, what? Because he loved her the most, he locked her inside of a cage? Like a pretty prison? Sounds like him. So what went wrong other than him locking her in a place where she can't get out? I don't know how she betrayed him. He didn't like talking about it. How did she betray him? By leaving? He locked Shionia in ice. I think she's still conscious and waiting for him to release her. And this is the guy you revered? Like, oh man, they really had them twisted up inside in the head. Because like you hear this stuff, it just be like, how did you ever believe in him? But honestly, I guess when you get so twisted up, it's hard to see the craziness. That honestly was what Audrey is going through while she's romancing Malek. Raphael pressed his lips together as he remembered her for the first time. But Shefa won't come for her now. Maybe we should have found her? Absolutely, Raphael. As soon as we get out, she'll be thrilled to be released just in time for the end of the world. Cassiel growled in annoyance. The dead souls clutched at his shoulders, holding him in place. Sometimes I heard him speak to Tarnell, but I never saw him. The angel was created to maintain balance. This is fascinating, but completely uses information for us. He spoke of many, David, but never of Abaddon, and I don't know why. Maybe like your father, he didn't consider him a threat? Well, he didn't end up killing us. Yet. I see light. The relief gave the immortals strength. They began to climb faster. But along with the light came a strange sense of peace. It was wildly out of place, but impossible to brush off. Peace poured into their eyes like a shimmering glow against a backdrop as black as the abyss itself. You can listen to the thoughts of all the characters. Your choices won't affect your relationships with them. Okay. Then we start from the top. Oh, interesting artwork here. Mikael suddenly saw the faces of everyone who had died because of him. Because of his decisions. All the immortals he had sent to their deaths for the greater good. Dozens dead so that hundreds could live. His soldiers who believed in the order, believed in duty just as he did. Believed in the truth but never knew the whole of it. Their bloody, mutilated bodies staggered. A question lingered forever in their glazed eyes. An entire graveyard that he carried within him. He had to die so that others could live. Mikael had long stopped recognizing their faces. They had all blended into one. Their families and loved ones stood behind them. Hatred burned in their eyes. They hated him for the choices he'd made that didn't favor them. As always, you were wise. You can kill everyone, but you can't save everyone. And they know that, and they accepted their death long ago. They look at their children and grandchildren and know that the world stands on their sacrifice, on their bones. The voice echoed in his mind and in the minds of all those who stood in front of him. And at last, they fell silent. The blood evaporated, their snarls vanished, the severed limbs returned to their places. We forgive you. Mikael raised his hands, and for the first time, he didn't feel the stickiness of spilled blood on them. The curses of widows and the cries of orphaned children fell silent. It was so peaceful. The Archangel smiled at the silence, and he longed to stay in it forever. It's a trick! Then stay. Oh no. Oh. This artwork is great. David saw Astrea, who had lost everything that had made him a father. Deranged and embittered, he looked upon the world with hatred. He looked at his wife and sons with suspicion. Well, how did you lose everything that made you a father if your children are still alive? Every morning David wondered when he'd be dragged to the chopping block. Who would die first? Him or his brother? Or maybe their grief-stricken mother. Is it just like a thing that like most moms in hell are like depressed? Like really depressed? Like Lucifer's mom, his mom. Well, I guess Mimi's mom was okay. And the voices in his head kept whispering, "Find us, save us, free us, and you will become great. Let us help. Let us fix Azrael's mistakes." The mistakes piled up, written in blood-red ink. They shaped the story of their kin. A cursed kin, hated by all, both their own people and outsiders. Murderers who paved their way to the throne with corpses, respected only by men like his father. You're not your father. You're not the one they wanted to burn in the steppe. You have nothing to avenge in this world. You have earned peace. The voice in his head fell silent. They had nothing more to offer. The image of his father faded. The bloody stream no longer licked his boots. And David felt a sense of wholeness and solitude. He had wanted for a long time to cut the threads that led him to hell. And now he longed to stay in his peace, where there was only him and no one else. And stay. Oh boy. Cassiel saw his parents holding his sister's remains. He didn't have the strength to bury her in their homeland. He didn't have the strength to admit that he hadn't protected her, despite his promise to do so. He cut himself over and over again with a sharp knife of guilt. He drank his own pain, hoping to feel even a sliver of what she had felt. He picked at himself with that knife day and night, day and night. If he had just stayed in his kennel, she would still be alive. If he hadn't told her to step aside, she would still be alive. If he had died in their mother's womb, she would still be alive. It only hurt for a minute, Cass. And now I feel nothing. Just a blessed emptiness. The feeling that she spoke of filled his insides and stitched his wounds. You spared her from the torments that life gives us. Her sleep is so peaceful, Cassiel, and she dreams of you. For the first time, he didn't feel the cuts bleeding within him. For the first time, his soul didn't ache, and that seemingly long-forgotten feeling was unparalleled. He longed to sleep beside her, to stay in his quiet dream forever. And stay. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's horrible. Raphael saw Shepha's face, leaning over him. He had been so small when God cut open his chest and poured a piece of himself inside. It burned. It was agonizingly painful, but God told him to endure it. And he endured it. Along with Shepha's power, he sealed away all his feelings, all his dark thoughts, and he never dared to contradict Father. He wanted the only living being to come to him more often. For Father to save him from a hollow existence in solitude, in a paradise where there was no one and nothing. You no longer have to smother your feelings. Shepha is gone. There's no one left to hate. So at this point, he's already dead. There's no need to suffer. A whispering voice made an incision right along the wound in his heart, releasing his feelings. They passed through him and dissolved into the void, so agonizingly slow, so inevitable. They poured and poured out of him until there was nothing left inside, and that feeling of emptiness was unlike anything else. Raphael dreamed of it his whole life, and now he longed to stay in it forever. Then stay. The pit didn't need to hold their wings to slow them down. It clung to their souls like tails, easily draining their strength. Surrendering was so easy, if only they had known that before. The darkness became a soft bed of feathers for them. There were no more blinding flashes of memory. It covered everything in black. The silence became bliss. But a distant voice managed to break through that silence. An image that no darkness could hide because it was a light to them. A light they had sworn to protect. Cassiel, midnight. Her light struck their eyes and scattered the darkness. Her voice tore through the veil of silence and let in the murmurs of the tormented dead. Their minds cleared again. They felt the touch of strangers' hands and the clinging, tiny legs of insects on their bodies. They couldn't leave her. She believed in them and was waiting for them. There, on the ashes of their home. What the hell? Mikael didn't draw attention to what had just happened, but he knew for certain that they had all experienced the same thing. Listen only to my voice. Ignore the whispers of this place. The exit is close. I can feel it. Just a little farther. The human world. Melody couldn't remember where she was or what had happened. Her own body felt foreign to her, uncooperative, numb. She felt a cool palm press against her forehead, then a firm voice pierced through what felt like a body of water. Melody, wake up. The voice broke off, drowned out by the ringing in her ears. Someone brought a glass to her lips and helped her to take a sip. After greedily drinking half of the cup, Melody began to cough. Don't choke, come to your senses. Her temples still throbbed, but her vision cleared. The immortal loomed over her. He didn't give her another second. He gripped her forearm with his thin fingers. I knew you'd come back here. Don't you have anywhere else to go? Melody tried to focus on Samus's red irises, but then he abruptly stood and broke eye contact. Then again, maybe it's for the best. You might boost your colleagues' morale. Soundness? Get up, we have to go. Still clueless about where they were going or why, Melody let herself be pulled to her feet. Here, put this on and stop shivering. Melody reached out and took the warm, heavy fabric obediently. Which we get to choose. Ooh. Okay, so far they're all very cute. What's wrong? Is this Cass? Someone's touched her hair. He smoothed the disheveled strands as if she were a child. There, much better. Where are we going? What's happening? You fainted, but sadly we don't have time to cuddle you. We've got things to do. Where's Astrea? Where are the others? Instead of answering, the angel asked a question in return. Can you walk? Melody nodded uncertainly. Then let's go. At first the memories came back in flashes, then they crashed down on her like a wave. Her head spun again, she had to grab a tree to keep from falling. Have they come back? Not yet. But they will? Suddenly stopped and turned around. He spoke with barely veiled impatience. They have no choice. Malek lowered her gaze. She didn't quite understand his mood. His voice softened. Did you give the book away? Yes. To whom? Herman. Summons blinked in surprise and asked, the head of the order? He promised that he could keep it safe. Summons pursed his lips. He spoke quietly while staring into the distance. I hope you knew what you were doing. Listen, they said to give it to a guy, and that's the guy I can think of. Okay? It's in a guy's hand. Done with the questioning, the angel headed for a stone arch. The overgrown path that led them to a part of the garden that Melody had never been to. The trees had been left untrimmed for far too long and were bent toward the ground. The paths had been swallowed by wild grass. The neglected patch of land looked grim, even more so because of Astrea's silhouette. Hunched over and looking miserable, she stood in the middle of the overgrowth. So alone. Her haunted look sent shivers down Melody's spine. Why is she here? Furius stood beside Astrea like a guard dog. He squinted his eyes and bared his teeth. This is where it started, so this is where it will end. Why are you here? Summons answered for her. Others will be back soon. I thought they would want to know that she's alright. Are you serious? You want to give them a happy reunion? This place is going to turn into a slaughterhouse soon. Melody waved her arms to get their attention. What's going to end? Isn't it up to the book? Furius ignored all her questions. Suddenly, he roughly grabbed Astrea's shoulder. He yanked her like a rag doll and forced her to her knees. What are you doing? Get your hands off her. Her genuine fury amused him and he smiled. Relax, I'm not doing anything. Yes, you are. I'm just trying to reunite the family. Her vague suspicion barely had time to form before Summons cut in. We can't kill Malek. Obviously, we destroy his shell, which will return to the abyss. So we're sending Astrea to ball with her son, let them rot on a chain together. What is that going to solve? And where were you when they needed you? And what about that army you were supposed to be going to get? You can do anything you promised, and you here making more stupid choices? No one asked you to do this. And what does this solve? Are you serious? So you've given up on fighting Malek, and you're just like... What do you think is gonna happen here? I don't understand. Astrea got to mention the demon's name. I won't go back to him. Yes, you will. I can't open a portal to him. I've never done it before. He'll open it himself, don't worry. You'll call him and he'll answer your voice. Astrea shook her head. She curled up even tighter, her forehead nearly touching the ground. Don't be so desperate. We'll help you. Just call him the same way you did last time. Like the time those people stoned her? Horrified, Miller took a cautious step close to the sorrowful woman. Don't harm her. She suffered enough. Miller walked even close to Astrea as if to shield her from the immortals. Suffered? She should be held accountable, not pitied. Summons, all of this misery began because we never gave Astrea a chance to carry out your God's will. My God? And who is yours? Simon slithered away like a snake. He only reacted to words that were taken out of context. It was unclear if he did so intentionally. He definitely did so intentionally. He does not want to answer. He does not want to answer. It's definitely intentional. He's just trying to distract and make it always all the problem. It's always gaslighting. It's always someone else's fault. Never him. I mean, if humans had followed Astrea as they were supposed to, Malek wouldn't have been born. And Abaddon wouldn't have escaped the pit. His rebirth is the fault of the humans who tortured her, and now you want to repeat their mistakes? Have you considered that your decision may cost far more than that of an ordinary mortal? Simons narrowed his eyes, genuinely pondering her words, but Furius preventing him from coming to the right conclusion. Of course. Useless. Pathetic. Idiot. Worthless. This plan worked once before. We locked up a frenzied monster for centuries. Yeah, I'm sure whoever person that was. Yeah, this is definitely the same thing. Sure, yeah, okay. And it'll work again. Sure, whatever. Molly pursed her lips and looked to the sky, as if hoping to see the Astreans. Someone with some kind of sense. What kind of plan is that? This dude's a freaking idiot. As dumb as Antari, the other dude who showed up, the other idiot. Melody lashed out to the words. She tried to buy time. Who did you catch the first time? His pride in his actions loosened his tongue surprisingly quickly. Sonna smiled dreamily. Azrael. The best summoner helped heaven to create a room that you can enter, but not leave. A prison with no doors or windows. Not bad, Okay, I guess. Astrea doesn't deserve this. Of course not, but her beloved men, Malek and Ball, do. Unfortunately, there's no victory without sacrifice. In Azrael's case, that sacrifice was his youngest son. Why shouldn't Astrea follow the boy's example? He willingly sacrificed himself. He took advantage of his father's trust and saved both hell and heaven from a tyrant. You twisted his head and made him do that. And then made everybody forget about it. Melody hadn't known this. David's brother is still in prison? Of course. The rumor has it that Azrael strangled him on the first day out of rage. For the first 100 years, he didn't talk to his bones, then out of boredom, he began speaking to them. David's family history made her feel nauseous, and you're just here fucking smiling about it. You're like, yeah, he did this, he saved all those people, and I'm just gonna sit here and mock his death. Because, yeah, that's so hilarious. What about his demons? Why doesn't he wish his way out? They're not his. He can only hear their voices. A questionable ability, but talking to them still led him to the throne. Though he gave up everything he had and more for it. I'm surprised that David is still alive. After all, Azrael offered his siblings as payment. He tore unborn infants from their mothers' wombs and used them as currency. It's horrifying. Azrael was just a demon, Melody. One who wanted vengeance for the genocide of his home island. One who wanted to sit on the throne and rule. The one clawing his way up to us from below is far worse. He needs rivers of blood. And yet you think the same plot is gonna work. And to rule, he doesn't need the living at all. Inside twisted into a tight knot. That should tell you yourself that, once again, vastly different. So why do you think the same plan is gonna work? You're so high on your own success, I guess. On the backs of other people. Of course, you didn't suffer for it. No, of course not. But it's your success. Yeah. Be so proud. Malek won't come for me. He doesn't need me. He will. Accept this chance to right your wrongs with Shut up! Take your child and return underground. Still flashed in Furius' hand just as Melody reached the firstborn. Damn it. Questions spilled out of her unbidden, driven by fear and desperate attempt to stall the executioner. How will you seal the breach if Malek really does go to ball? Are you strong enough? He'll crush you. Raphael will be here soon, I have no doubt. And if not, well then, we'll have to make do with the firstborn's power. You'll sacrifice yourself and your spawn to save your true children, won't you? Summon's voice dripped with nauseating sweetness. Astrea lifted her head and fixed her blind eyes on him. I'd rather die than go back. Furius approached. He grabbed her hair and yanked her head back even further. Let her go! Melody didn't have time to try and make him let go of Astrea. Furius shot her a heavily, openly threatening look. Step back. No. Melody, you know this is pointless. You can't stop us. Be a good girl and step back. Well, I might as well go forward. Melody stayed put, but wisely moved her hand away from Furius. They're not actually going to stone her again, are they? It didn't take long to figure out whether or not they would. Melody had barely finished her thought when Furius drove a thin blade under Astrea's ribs. Blood spread faintly across the fabric of her robes. Furius raised his arm again. Stop. Start calling for ball. Melody spoke firmly, confidently, trying not to look at the blood spilling from Astrea. You know that Malek wrote her letters, right? Didn't Mikael tell you what was in them? Furius sighed wearily but lowered his hand. If he didn't, then it wasn't important. Melody forced a mysterious smile. Yes, Samus was right. The letters only contained Malek's thoughts, but the superiors were already suspicious of the Astreans about everything. They couldn't help but believe that some information had been withheld from them. I don't know why Mikael decided to keep this from you. Melody, don't test our patience. Without backup from her colleagues, she decided to test the limits of Samus' patience. Astrea couldn't give Malek what he wanted. She never let him feel a mother's love. He grew up lonely and abandoned, robbed of everything. She taught him hatred, and he doesn't love her. He won't go to ball for her. Definitely not to save her. Then why hasn't he killed her? Because he wants her to suffer. Look at her. What's left is immortal. She once carried light, now she can't even see the sun. If you torture her, Malek will only thank you. Instead, you should figure out how to get him to go after her while there's still time. The immortals wavered, and that was enough for now. What did Mikael tell us? He wanted you to spare Astrea's life, and I agree with him. She doesn't deserve to be punished, let alone executed. Even if Malek wants Astrea dead, he'll have to go to ball to finish her, not to save her. It doesn't change anything. The immortal faltered. Several figures sliced through the sky above and approached the ground rapidly. Melody recognized them the moment she saw them. Thank God. The Astreans landed nearby, kicking up a cloud of dust. About time. Cassiel landed very close to her, gently, carefully. He cast a fleeting, intense glance at her, then he crushed her in an embrace. Are you alright? Melody gasped at his unexpected show of emotion. She choked out. Yes. The demon pulled back immediately. Sorry. Simons interrupted the touching reunion with a single sentence. I was starting to think that they had fled into the pit on purpose just to avoid the battle. Excuse me? Who wasn't where he was supposed to be? Where is this army that he's supposed to be promised? And you decided to do this instead? The most cowardly way you can think of doing this impossible. You were a freaking cockroach? Shut the hell up. Mikael noticed Astrea and his expression changed immediately. What's going on here? What does it look like? We're recreating history. Astrea stayed silent. She hugged herself tighter with her frail arms. Her blind eyes rolled wildly in their sockets, alert. This was never part of the plan. Now it is. We'll torment her until Ball and Abaddon hear her voice. No. For several seconds, the garden was filled with a ringing silence. Furius spoke in disbelief. This isn't a suggestion, it's an order. We're not stooping to that level. Ain't nobody taking orders from you no more, dude. David was the one who diffused the heated atmosphere. He stepped in front of the Archangel and spoke in a deliberately casual manner. Seriously, Somnus. Was torturing Astrea the only thing you could think of up there in heaven? Where's your promised backup squad? Where's the army? No one's coming. We're on our own. No one was surprised. Seriously? Then what good are you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just glad to hear somebody say it. I'm just glad to hear somebody say it. Simon swallowed the insult, but his face showed how deeply it had affected him. Yeah, let that sink in. You are worthless. Pathetic. Focus on the upcoming battle. Mikael glanced at Melody. It's not safe here. Why did you bring her? She was curious to see what reason Simon could come up with for keeping her there, but he unexpectedly agreed. Of course. No one expects her to fight. Oh, really? Then why did you bring me? You could have just left me in the house. You went out of your way to wake me up and drag me here just to make me watch you torture this woman. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. Honestly, I'm confused. I'm curious. I don't know if he'll answer me. Well, seriously, why did you bring me? Should I lift you unconscious and then burn down how? Yeah, probably. You said this is gonna be the battlefield. What are they gonna do over there? I don't understand. I simply thought you all want to see each other before the battle. That's what you said before, but I don't know if I believe it, bruh. Simons grinned crookedly, then he looked at everyone in a way that was far too friendly. Oh, that was skepticism. Whoops. I was supposed to go with Faye. Oh, wait, no. This isn't skeptic route. Well, then, now you are reunited. You can get to work with clear consciences. The immortals will stay with the immortals. As for you, Melody, run. Save yourself. But we can't give you all your friends to keep you company. We need them here. Astrea tried to stand up, but Furius pushed her back down to the ground. It would be nice to get this asshole away from her. But Melody didn't dare to voice such a suggestion. Instead, she pleaded with her colleagues. Please don't let them torture Astrea anymore. She's already suffered enough. They won't hurt her again. No more torture, I promise. Astrea shuddered. She turned her head as if searching for someone with her unseeing eyes. You're too kind for this world, child. It will devour you like it devoured me. Here, they only understand strength. The soul doesn't matter. They never value you properly. They only believe in the whip. Run from here and don't look back. From this point forward, there will be nothing but death. Astrea, now's not the time to be thinking about her. You should be thinking about yourself. I sense immortals. His quiet remark made everyone look up. Melody peered into the stormy sky but couldn't see any figures in it. But judging by the tense faces of the others, it was clear that danger was indeed approaching. Did heaven change their minds? Simons fell silent, confused. Even Furious' expression shifted suddenly. I doubt it. They're not angels. Barely visible black dots appeared in the sky. They were growing at an alarming rate. We need to hurry. All eyes turned to the human. Melody, you're out of time. But while you run, you can try praying. Cassiel took her hands and gently pulled her close. Come, I'll carry you somewhere safe. Melody nodded and squeezed his hand in return. It'd be as far from here as possible. His words gave her hope that this could be the end for her and Cassiel. But Furious' voice crushed that hope. You're not going alone. Is he afraid that Cassiel won't come back? Really, where are you going? Why are you running away from the fight again? How pathetic do you get? You're so afraid of betrayal that no, you're just a freaking coward. Oh my god. If anyone still had hope that heaven would come to their aid, it vanished in an instant. Of course. Heaven. These are the people that heaven sent the first time. Somnus and Furious. That's all heaven is willing to do, and we see how that turned out. The uninvited guests were already forming combat ranks mid-flight, arms extended. Some descended with swords drawn, and their hostile moods spoke louder than words. There was no time left for talk. Who are they? How does Malek have so many immortal followers? No, really? And where is Malek himself? Her colleagues pushed her behind them and faced the incoming danger. Simon stood beside Astrea. His eyes glowed white, the air around them trembled. The familiar vibration in the air led Melody to a grim conclusion. This time, Summons didn't shield me with the dome. For some reason, the immortals didn't rush forward. Instead, they scrutinized the visitors tensely. They don't know who they are? The first to land was a gaunt demon. He was elongated like an insect. He scanned everyone with a predatory gaze and rasped. Where is that spawn hiding? Malek? His gaze lingered on David, and his thin lips curled into a wicked grin. Wait, you're looking for David? Now? So it's true. You're alive. Please get her out of here. What? You're gonna leave me with him? You can't be serious, right? Because he threw a hissy fit? You're leaving me with him? Cass. Cass, really? Buddy, come on. Cassiel released her hand and drew his sword. Whoever you are, leave now or die. We serve heaven, and aim your weapons at us and you aim them at the Citadel. The Citadel does not care right now. But you can at least try it. The demon let out a ragged, grunting laugh. A dozen of his kin landed heavily behind him. Heaven stole Azrael's descendant from us. The freak who hears voices just like his father. Either you kill him, or we will. Molly stood at David in horror, but he remained calm. Did I ever harm you, friend? Demon spat on the ground, raised his sword slightly, and adopted a fighting stance. You will if you don't die. Surrender us, don't make us ruin your friends' faces. He doesn't use the power of Goetia demons. You came for nothing. Who is that? Are you sure about that? I heard he's already used it once. And once means twice. Then we'll be burying more loved ones. We'll be marrying more loved ones. No, we're only leaving with his head. In a daze, Melody whispered to Furius. They want to end Azrael's bloodline and finish Goetia. Where'd they come now? Someone must have leaked the news that David is free. And Tari? Wait, but he wanted to free Azrael, so why would he do that? Well, because he's an idiot. Oh, someone must have. It was you. It was you. Yeah, it was you. When Azrael fell, heaven promised that hell would never see his child again. Probably immortals who lived during Azrael's reign. We? They can handle this bunch of idiots without us, don't worry. I don't trust you. You, on the other hand, can be taken out by a flying twig. How absurd. You'll die, if not by our hands, then by Abaddon's. The demon wasn't cowed by Summon's bored tone. Say that Azrael's lapdog is with you too. Can you tell me where that... Melody felt his hate-filled gaze and instinctively backed away. You're not her, are you? Wouldn't she be an immortal? Do I look like one? How dumb are you? Too cute a face. They said she had the face of... Okay. Him talking to her was the last straw. The immortals pushed off the ground lightly and soared into the sky. Melody caught a glimpse of them clashing in midair before Furious gripped her forearm roughly. She hurried to follow him. Not like I have a choice. Somehow they decided that this was my best option. Before she vanished in the garden's greenery, she looked back and found the demon's figure. Cassiel fought in the front lines. He kept the bulk of the immortals away from David. Even in the sky, his figure looked imposing, but that didn't stop him from moving quickly and striking precisely. Several severed limbs were enough to cool his opponent's fervor. They no longer charged blindly. Instead, they circled and waited. But Cassiel gave them no time. He struck first. Move it, Melody. You'll take them down in a few minutes. Don't worry. Melody hurried along, but as she left, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Be careful. Okay. Furius walked. I kind of want to see the scene with the others, but I'll probably see it in a little bit. Furius walked forward with long strides. Melody, who had long been freed from his grasp, could barely keep up. The garden was eerily quiet, and the silence was unsettling. You don't have to lead me that far. I'm fine here. You should probably go back and actually do something important instead of taking me out here in the middle of nowhere so you can kill me. Her already tense nerves were strung tight. Let's hope there are no surprises. There will be surprises. He turned around and tried to stab you in the face. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the Astrea they had left behind. They'll manage. They always have. No help from this dude. I'm not gonna quit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if the garden's long twisted shadows teased her imagination, but she had no time for these games. Reluctantly, Melody remained aware, alert, observant, and aware. If Malek comes to the front, can Furius up? No, he can't do nothing. The shadows grew thicker. The long, warped shapes twisted into the oppressive silence. Melody froze, and the shadows froze in return. Their torsos stretched and their limbs grew from the inky blackness. Melody stepped back. I kind of want to get away from him. Oh boy. What do I do? Keep pushing forward, I guess. The Immortal's figure had not yet vanished into the garden. She dashed after him. At that moment, isn't he supposed to be taking me to safety? He leads me into some dangerous, shadowy place and then abandons me there. And he continues running away from the battle. He's so pathetic. I hate him. At the moment, the shadows turn their heads. Adam Valeno? Valeno? I'm so hungry, Melody. You've eaten enough. Feed me. Let me taste your flesh. Just one little bite. Not a chance. She was only briefly gripped by fear before reason went out. It silenced the hysteria and told her that the shadows weren't moving. Words were just words. Why aren't they advancing? Muddy clenched her fists and shouted, "Get out! Go back to your pit!" Furious turned at the sound of her shout. The shadows scattered under his gaze. The Immortal returned to her with a scowl. "Why aren't you moving?" "You're an idiot." Melody blinked, but the shadows stayed shadows, if mocking her. "It was just me." Melody shook her head and looked up at the Immortal. "It's fine, we can continue." The Furious didn't budge. For a moment she thought he saw something too, but he was only staring at her. The irritation vanished from his eyes and he suddenly was calm. Yeah, he's ready to betray us again and murder me. And from him that unusual emotion was terrifying. "Hey dude, are you alright?" "Of course not, because you're an idiot." The Immortal slowly stepped toward her, causing her to back away. "You know, Melody, I've always been surprised by the way you speak to me. Do you understand who I am and who you are? You are a pathetic cockroach. A cockroach. Scum. You are nothing. That's who you are." Melody raised an eyebrow, but wisely remained silent. "Maybe you managed to charm those idiots, but you didn't charm me. Great. I had to chew through every word you said and force it down like poison. The most disgusting thing is that because of you, I almost lost faith in Somnus. The way he sometimes spoke of you as if you were our equal or as if he truly believed it. That's news to me. The way he got attached to you like a cute little pet. It was so revolting that I wanted to strangle you both. Maybe you should have strangled him. You could have done me a favor. Strangled yourself too." I'm so over it. Furious's monologue had gone in the wrong direction and she didn't like it at all. I don't think now is time to figure things out. There may not be another chance. Yep, because you wanted to get me alone to kill me because you think, yep, that's definitely going to end well for you. A frantic thought sparked in her mind. He's like, I can get away with it. I always do. Will the strains hear me if I scream? No, probably not. Furius smiled. We're just talking. Yeah, whatever. Do you want me to lead you out? Screaming to assess how dangerous the situation really was, Millie ignored the first question at first. Furious repeated it louder. His bark made her flinch. Why are you sitting there barking like a dog? Are you an idiot? Yes, he is, actually. Millie nodded and swallowed a thick rush of saliva. Excellent. I just wanted you to understand where you belong, beneath her, whatever. On one of your knees, begging for forgiveness for every word you dare speak to me. Oh, for every disrespectful thought you ever had about me. For every insolent look. She couldn't believe what she was hearing, and her words got her in her throat. So he really is affected by having to speak to a human? Yeah, he's that stupid. He's just that stupid. Furious frowned. Millie tried to quiet her thoughts. Begged me to show you. No! And make it sincere that I believe it, otherwise I'll beat some respect into you. Well, you just have to do that, because seriously, not a chance. Not a chance. Furious came closer, his eyes gleamed dangerously. I'm only talking to you because you stopped Felonian from killing Somnus. But if you don't start saying the right things, I'll go quiet too. And trust me, you won't like that. Sure, whatever. Furious was growing angrier with each passing second. His hands clenched into fists and his jaw tightened. Rage built inside him. It threatened to erupt in an uncontrollable flash. That's your whole name. That's your whole personality trait, so why are we surprised? How long has he been harboring this hatred toward me? Always! It's a personality trait! Look, I don't know what to tell you. It's not my fault that Sheffer brought me into your home and... Melissa swallowed the end of her sentence along with a slap. It was so hard that everything around her was drowned out by a deafening ring. No. Giving you one last chance, and I'm telling you that I'm gonna do it. It's very hard for me to contain my power. Do you understand? Well, you just got to kill me. Your hand might not be able to take the next blow. Oh well. The last thing I will be able to do. I don't care. Shit. Seriously. The most important thought finally reached her through the pain. And it was terrifyingly simple. He could really kill me in a fit of rage. Yeah, honey. So, Melody, thought about it. Thought about Cassiel, the wolf, the demon's note herself. Okay, I was going to choose Cassiel, but I'm honestly curious about choosing the wolf. I don't want to have Cassiel come running after all this time, you know what I mean? Like, if it's something that me and Axel can handle on our own, that would be very cool. The demon's note, that popping up here is interesting. But if I have another option, I'm not using that. I don't trust that thing at all. No way. Sire. I want to do the wolf, but yeah, we're gonna do Cassiel. We're gonna do Cassiel. Ooh, I want to do the wolf. Do I have time for this? I don't have time for this, but I tell you what, we're gonna do the wolf, and then I'm gonna replay and do Cassiel. Yeah? Yeah, we go. I could really use your help right now. Meanwhile, oh no! The battle didn't last long. The opponents were drunk on their thirst for revenge and acted far too erratically. They all rushed to strike first, each hoping to be the one to put an end to the hated bloodline. Mikael slowly walked across the field, which was littered with corpses. It reminded him of the past, so distant now. Back then he had fought against Azrael's supporters. Today, he defended his son. He never liked finishing off the wounded. It was one thing to stab someone's neck in fair combat. It was quite another to kill someone who was defenseless and begging for mercy. One is still alive. The wounded demon whimpered. He bared his teeth like an animal as he crawled away from Cassiel. To his credit, even though he was bleeding out, he didn't beg for mercy. What should we do with him? Let him return to hell. For what? Because I don't know if we have time for this to pay off here. So this will be something that won't come back to us until Heaven's Secret 3. What's to stop him from coming after David again? Like, he was, like, seriously, idiotically upset. Like, stupid rage. If we finish him, then it's over. We ain't gotta think about it again. But then again, we've seen it time and time again in these stories where we save somebody's life and then they come back later and do something unexpected that unexpectedly helps us. Or does it come to bite us back in the butt? Oh boy. And tell the rest what will happen if they dare to come here again. Nora didn't cause any emotion to flicker on Cassiel's face. He grabbed the wounded demon by his scruff and yanked him to his feet in one simple motion. Can you fly? The demon nodded. Then fly. The demon rose in the sky. He pressed his hands against the laceration in his abdomen. He sank, then regained altitude and slowly disappeared into the storm clouds. Incredible idiots. The demon will remember Mikael's choice. In what way is he gonna remember it? In what way? I don't know. But I guess we're just gonna find out. Cassiel walked to the edge of the field and approached David, who was leaning against a tree. How are you? There was blood on his fingertips. I'm fine. David forced a smile. The wound was turning black and refusing to heal. It was eating him from within. Cassiel glanced at the Archangel. Should I get Mikael? David grimaced and shook his head. Just a scratch. It'll heal. He clenched his jaw, pushed away from the tree, and stood up straight. I don't get it. They thought their weapons was some kind of poison? His word made Cassiel flinch, but David stubbornly waved him off. Relax, Cass. I'm standing up. I'm fine. Cassiel wanted to argue, but Samus interrupted them, leaning over Astrea. This is who I have to work with, Astrea. I apologize for the scene. The first one was sheltered alongside him under the same dome. She knelt obediently, but she showed no reaction to his words. Everything was going according to plan again, but something prevented the immortals from relaxing. Though they wanted to believe that Melody was safe, Furius' absence still stirred unease. Yeah, because he should have just pushed her away for a little further in there and then came right back. But of course he wasn't going to do that. Why fight and get his hands dirty? Why risk his own death? Of course not. Let me go bully somebody who's weak. Okay. Meanwhile, Malek had no idea just how much Furius had kept bottled up. He had seemed straightforward and open in expressing his feelings to her. The emotions he truly kept inside shocked her to her core. He despises humans that much. Thinking of Harry made Melody shudder. Oh no, what did they do to Harry? Unlike me, he has no one to protect him. What kind of conditions were they keeping him in? Is he even alive? Should I ask? Ask. Melody tried to speak as softly as possible. She asked timidly. What happened to Harry, the mortal you sheltered? Surprised, Furius didn't just answer, he smiled too. Leave him in a very deep and faraway place, just like we promised. And he'll be alright? Furius snorted. He leaned in closer to her. I don't know, Melody. We stopped visiting him when you found out that he wasn't the chosen one, but rather just one of many. If you manage to escape the basement and break the chains, he might be fine. You should worry about yourself. Harry loves life too much to give up easily. I'm sure he got out, no matter the cost. Furious too close and his strains were too far away. Millie had no idea what he would do if she screamed, but she was certain about one thing. It would only take him a moment to break my neck. Tried to imagine that he was a patient. He chose her words carefully. Looked at him timidly and spoke gently and softly. I don't want to provoke you or cause you to hurt me. I didn't ask for any of this. I was dragged into it. At first, no one told me who you were or how to act around you. I was wrong. I admit it, and I'm sorry. Ugh. He gripped her cheeks with his fingers, forcing her to be silent. Furious pressed down on her face and pushed her to her knees. Enough. Arrogant brat, you think you can talk to us like we're madmen? You are a madman. I might as well talk to you like a madman, because you are insane. Twigs and stones dug painfully into her knees, but Melody ignored the pain. It felt like her skull was about to crack open. Her jaw ached as if each tooth was screaming. If you don't want to do this the easy way, then we'll do it the hard way. Furius pulled back and took a step away. His eyes filled with a dangerous white light. I didn't even give him the nerve to act like this, because he is drunk on his own superiority. It is insane. And it doesn't help that y'all keep calling him the superior. Why is he afraid that the others will destroy him? Because he really thinks he's those things. Like, he really thinks nothing can touch him. He really thinks he's untouchable. For some reason. I don't get it. But he's like, nope, they won't do anything. I'll just tell them that it's an order, and then that'll be the end of it. What? You think that no one will survive the battle with Malek? The last thought made her dizzy, and then a sharp, all-consuming pain ripped through her body. It was 1,000 needles were piercing her muscles. They twisted and crushed with maddening force. Melody couldn't even scream. It felt like lightning had struck inside her. Furious smiled. He was genuinely enjoying her suffering. Maybe it really is too late for ask for forgiveness, Melody. I never was going to ask. His eyes gleamed wildly. His chest heaved so violently that it made her feel nauseous. Agitated state made it clear that he wasn't going to stop anymore. Melody was frightened and exhausted. She whispered faintly, Axel. This time, the wolf didn't come alone. The ground beneath Furius split open. He had to leap back to avoid falling into hell. There were 3 more wolves behind hers. They were all ready to protect her. No command was necessary. The animals seemed to know exactly what to do. They surrounded the immortal from all sides and lunged at him in unison, leaving him no chance to escape. They pinned him to the ground and tore into his flesh. Axel bit out a chunk of his neck. The others shredded his limbs to pieces. Fighting back and screaming only made things worse for Furius. The wolves grew more vicious. And when there was barely any life left in him, the rift started pulling them in. Without loosening their jaws, the wolves dragged the half-dead immortal into hell to share the spoils. Serves him freaking right. Once the ground was just ground again, everything went still. Melody stood up and staggered slightly. Then, unwilling to stay there for even another moment, she hurried back to the house. Best friendo, the wolf dragged Furious to hell. I should not be so bloodthirsty. But he was asking for that. He was asking for it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. That's the whole point. I'm not sorry. I'm not begging for forgiveness. For what? Nah. No. Not a chance. Alright. But now I need to go all the way back because it's supposed to be Cassiel who saves me on this route, so I'm gonna go snag that. Right back. Thought about Cassiel. Oh, let me take the thing off. Release your help right now. Okay, but then we have to do this part again. Actually, let's bring that back. This might take a little longer than I thought it would be. So we still have to let the other demon go again. Seems a bit. Wait. Hold on. Still speeding because they still need to talk to David. I don't know if something changes here, like if he decides that he's gonna go after me or something. Cassiel silently approached Mikael. He spoke quietly but firmly. I'll check if Furius and Melody made it to safety. Mikael didn't stop him. Of course. Cassiel nodded gratefully, then he gently pushed off and ground and soared into the sky. And that's how he ended up over here. Meanwhile, he being a weirdo. Then go ahead and ask about her. Okay. Sure he got out. Started taking to him like he's a patient because he's a mad person. Okay, then he starts being a weirdo. But the pain didn't come. A heavy, rusted chain dropped around Furius's neck. It tightened around him like a snake, instantly cutting off his air supply. The immortal choked. He tugged at the chain and tried to loosen it, but couldn't. Suddenly his knees buckled. Someone had hit his legs, forcing him to the ground. Cassiel didn't say a word. He dragged Furius by his throat, taking him off to the side. The immortal spread his wings and tried to take off, but Cass wouldn't let him. He held him by the chain and used his free hand to rip off one wing, then the other. Then, ignoring his howls, he pulled him away. Melody jumped to her feet. By the time she caught up with them, Cassiel had him on the ground, under the shadow of a thick tree. He pulled the chain tighter and tighter until Furious' body began to stop struggling. Stunned, Melody stared in horror at Furious and Cassiel. The demon only turned to her once his former superior and his rage had finally gone still. Cassiel. She said his name and suddenly burst into tears. She didn't even know why. She felt like a child. She wanted to take refuge for a moment, to hide in his strong arms, to bury her face in his broad chest. And Cassiel held her so gently that a sense of safety immediately spread through her body. I'm sorry. His clothes grew wet from her tears, but he waited patiently for her shoulders to stop shaking. He stroked her back and whispered the same words over and over again. I'm sorry. It took her a few minutes to calm down. When there were no more tears left to cry, Melody pulled away and bit her lip guiltily. I don't know why he snapped. I didn't provoke him or do anything. I know, Melody. Cassiel interrupted her. He carefully picked her up and took to the sky. He carried her to the front door of the Astrea Detective Agency. After setting her down, he suddenly frowned. If you want, we can fly away from here right now. Melody could barely hold back a yes. There was a painful sorrow in his voice that hadn't been there before, and it wasn't hard to guess the reason for his sadness. The Astraeans are still there, preparing for battle. If we leave now, he'll be abandoning them on the battlefield, like Furius did. Melody forced a smile and spoke softly. I know you'd do anything for me, Cassiel. Try to save the world for us, alright? Like the demon, she was torn by conflicting feelings, and they both knew it. They were torn between the desire to leave everything behind and the desire to fight. They chose the latter. I love you, Melody. Like I've never loved anyone before. Melody tilted her head up and tried to hold back her tears. Great, you're making me cry again. Get as far away from here as you can. Do you hear me? I'll be fine. We'll get through this. Melody swallowed the lump in her throat and rasped. And if we don't? Then we'll meet again in another world. If we meet another world instead of this one, you'll regret it. The demon pushed off the ground and took flight. Melody finally broke down when his figure disappeared into the garden's greenery. She could no longer hold back her tears. The thought of you will help the demon on the battlefield. At this point, do I just kind of do a montage of the different ways that all of them kill Furious? It would suddenly make me feel better, but it was also certainly take a long time. You know what? Why not? It'll make me feel better. Furious, sweetheart. How about you pick on someone your own size? The immortal slowly turned toward the voice. You. Fell? One look at the demon was enough for Melody to feel relief. She really had come for her. She hadn't left her behind. I knew you'd come back. The sun is hurting your pride so badly you have to abuse mortals to cope. Furious lunged at her. She dodged gracefully, leaving a thin cut on his face. How many wounds can you take before you die? Without waiting for an answer, Felonia sliced open the skin on his neck. Then once again, she slipped from his grasp. Her battle turned into a dance. She spun around Furious like an irritating insect, her movements impossibly quick. Each strike left him with another cut. Within seconds, his entire body was covered in them. I felt a little bad for Samus, when she did this to him, but I don't feel bad for Furious at all. Furious's eyes flared with white light, but if his power struck Phil, it didn't show. The demon wasn't in a hurry to kill him. She was toying with him. There were so many cuts that his body was coated in a thin red film. Blood covered his eyes, which burned with hatred. Now, let's go a little deeper. The blow that followed her words slashed open his stomach. The edges of the wound parted, his intestines slowly spilled out. His attempt to shove them back in was interrupted by another series of slashes to his hands. Nearly severed fingers hung by threads of skin that were no longer of any use. Unable to bear the sight, Melody turned away. You shouldn't have hurt her, you pathetic coward. That's what I've been calling him all episode. Come on now. Glad somebody said it. Furius wheezed. Melody's imagination vividly conjured his split throat. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Filoni was standing in front of her. Quiet, concerned. As if she hadn't just slowly killed a living creature in cold blood. Fell. To others, she might have been a killer, a traitor, anything. But to Melody, she was still her closest, most beloved being. The person she sought love in and always found it. Filoni dropped her blades. She tenderly covered Melody's back with her hands and pulled her in closer. The smell of blood clinging to the demon no longer made Melody feel nauseous. In some ways, she already associated it with foul. Damn. Melody inhaled it deeply. Are you alright? I am. Her hands tightened around her waist. Melody pressed against the demon. A moment later, they soared into the sky. When they landed at the front door of the Astrea detective agency, Filoni frowned. The words she wanted to say were clearly difficult for her to express, but she pulled herself together and spoke as she exhaled. Melody, I've been thinking a lot, and I don't want this kind of life for Bruce. I don't want this kind of life for us. And She faltered and looked away. Fell? Melody softly covered the demon's cheek with her hand. She turned Filoni's face toward her own. The demon took a shaky breath. She confessed so hurriedly that it seemed as if she were ashamed of the truth. I don't want to be the villain in your story. I'm sorry that I can't save you right now, Melody, but I want to help them. Because I really do want to stay here, with you and my brother. I want us to have a future. You don't have to go, Fel. I love you, remember? Fel nodded and pressed her lips together. That's exactly why I have to. She sharply pulled Melody in close and kissed her, without opening her lips, but greedily, almost painfully. She moved away and shot into the sky immediately, as if afraid that Melody might stop her. Leave, please. Everything will be fine. It was only when Fel's figure disappeared into the garden that Melody carefully touched her lips. She burst into tears. Alright. It was a hard time coming, but I think Filoni turned it around in my mind. His face twisted in fear and Melody recoiled in horror. It's so quiet. Light streamed from his eyes and mouth. Can't guess who this is. It burst forth from him like a stream of milky white water. Then it covered him fully. It burned with blinding brightness, consuming the darkness within the immortal along with his flesh. He stumbled around the garden, enveloped in pure white flames, but his attempt to extinguish the fire was futile. It came from within. He was disoriented and didn't get very far. He collapsed, lifeless, several feet away from her. Meta was blinded by the unbearable light. At first she didn't see who was causing it, but when she did, she couldn't help but sigh with relief. Raphael. Her voice brought him to his senses. The rage was gone. He flew to her and looked her over nervously, urgently. His cool hands touched her shoulders, her cheeks, her waist. I'm alright. Looks like Furius lost his temper. Now finished with his inspection, Raphael pulled her into a tight embrace. Upon feeling his warrant, Melody finally let herself relax. She wrapped her arms around him and touched the base of his wings with her fingertips. She gently ran them over his smooth, cool feathers and listened to his rapid heartbeat. It's alright. Everything's alright now. After several long moments, Raphael pulled back. We never imagined that he was capable of that, Melody. I'm so sorry. Raphael. Angel faltered. He hadn't expected those words. I called for you, and you came. You're my guardian angel. She couldn't hold back. She clung to him and hugged him as tightly as she could, and Raphael returned her embrace. He gently covered the top of her head with his palm. I'm sorry it took so long. It's alright. You always show up just in time. Like now, and back in my office with Arthur. It was your voice that stopped him back then, wasn't it? Wow. He nodded. Melody closed her eyes, savoring his word, and of course, he's also the one who came to save us from the cult and the church. Raphael pulled away from her and gently picked her up in his arms. Wow. Wow, way to bring that all the way back to the beginning. That's crazy. I didn't even guess it. They did mention that it was something else that he heard. Wow, that was him? What? Without saying a word, he carried her to the front door of the Astrea Detective Agency. Setting her down, he pursed his lips apologetically. Melody, I have to go. She had been waiting for those words and dreading them at the same time. She couldn't answer them when she tried to silence her selfish desires. He continued. Let me try to preserve this world for us. Try to leave behind something more than pain and the stench of death. A place where we can find peace. She nodded, holding back tears. She wanted to say so much, but any sound she made threatened to explode into sobs. Leave, my love. Get as far away as you can. You've already taken on too much. This was never supposed to rest on a human's shoulders. Melody swallowed the lump in her throat. She managed to rasp. Just don't die. For us. I will. I promise. Raphael kissed her goodbye and soared into the sky. He knew she was watching him go, but he couldn't bring himself to look back. Because seeing her alone by that burnt-down house would be more than he could bear. Melody finally let herself burst into tears as soon as she was alone, so bitterly as if tears could help to wash all the pain away. I guess it really is too late. The steel entered the immortal's body as smoothly and softly as butter. Mikael withdrew his weapon just slowly. You're not worthy of even a single hair on her head, you vile creature. The body thudded heavily to the ground, leaving a silent question frozen in his eyes. God. Archangel rushed toward the mortal. He knelt in front of her and cupped her face in his hands. The pain faded instantly as if it had been absorbed into his skin. Melody tried to squirm free to check on him. Are you alright? Did you take care of those demons? Mikael exhaled shakily. He closed his eyes for a moment. Even after everything she had just endured, she was still thinking about him, about the others. Melody. His eyes opened. She saw the same feeling reflected in them. I don't deserve your love. I dragged you into this nightmare without considering how much I was asking of a human. I shattered your worldview so ruthlessly. And after all that, I dared to desire your heart. Melody gently covered his hands with hers. Without you, my world means nothing. It was ruined long before I met you. You gave it meaning. You pieced it back together, and I gave you my heart, Mikael. It is only for you. The reunion, brought about by Furius' rage, was all too brief. Melody could feel that it was time to leave, but she didn't dare ask for Mikael to come with her. He stood up and helped her to her feet. Then, suddenly but gently, he lifted her into his arms and soared into the sky. He landed into the entrance of the Astrea Detective Agency. He set her on her feet but didn't let her go. Melody rushed to spare him from having to make the painful choice. You have to tell them that Furius lost control. And I saw Malek's dead shoulders. He's already here. Mikael tightened his grip on her hands. He was torn by conflicting emotions. Promise me that you'll come back for me, alright? I promise that I'll wait and that I won't do anything reckless. A lot of promises going around. Melody hugged him tightly and quickly stepped back. Save this world, Mikael. We still need to live in it. She stepped away, widening his face between them. So he left her, hoping to return victorious. Furius smiled at her plea, then he took a step and nearly fell. His leg sank into the ground, almost up to his knee. What the hell? He tried to pull it out, but it only sank deeper. The other leg went down to the hip. Melody stood up and watched in shock. A puddle of darkness spread beneath Furius, engulfing him further. This is... The immortal finished her thought for her. Suck it! I should have strangled you the moment you crossed Astrea's threshold. Furious clawed the ground. He tore out clumps of grass, but kept sinking. Knowing this was Malek's doing gave her strength. She even managed to smile. Or is it a pit? Furious snarled. He tried to hurl the stream of power at her, but it was too late. The puddle evaporated. Half of the immortal vanished with it. Melody stared in shock at Furious' torso. She hadn't expected only part of him to go to the pit. The sight of his spilled intestines and dim gaze made her feel nauseous. Melody barely restrained the urge to throw up as she backed away. And then, unwilling to stay near the body for even another moment, she dashed out of the garden. Looks like the darkness of Abaddon protected you. Interesting. You scum. David landed silently behind the immortal, causing him to flinch and turn around. The moment their eyes met, David clamped his hand around his throat. He squeezed with all his might, forcing Furious to stumble backward. Did you enjoy tormenting the weak? He slammed a blow into Furious' legs. They buckled with a sickening crunch. Before he fell to his knees, Furious fired a surge of power at him. It struck David's wound. The demon hissed but didn't release his grip. What did he want you to do, Melody? Melody jumped to her feet, but she didn't dare come any closer. David repeated the question. What did he want, Melody? She shuddered and swallowed. He wanted to make me beg for forgiveness, to kill me. All of the above. But it was the begging part that was really the unforgivable part to me. For a moment, David clenched his fingers too tightly. Furious wheezed and went limp. But as soon as David slammed him into the ground at her feet, Furious came to his senses with a ragged gasp. Apologize to her, you bastard. Beg for her forgiveness, or I'll burn you. Your pet, whoa, and your entire island to ashes. When David seized him again, Furious growled and tried to break free, but his throat was only squeezed tighter. He leaned in close and whispered in his ear. If fire doesn't scare you, then I'll think of something else. I'll hang you from hooks and flay Somnus alive right in front of you. And I'll make you eat him piece by piece, got it? Because I want you to suffer. Furious clenched his jaw and spat out, sorry. David shoved his face into the ground so hard that grass got stuck between Furious's teeth. Louder. I'm sorry, Melody. Do you forgive him? She was stunned by everything that was happening. She let out a strained squeak. Yes? No! David nodded in satisfaction, then he snapped the immortal's neck and flung his body aside with undisguised disgust. Are you alright? She nodded and suddenly broke down in tears. She was still shaken from the humiliating scene with Furious. She couldn't process his gruesome death. All his emotions burst out of her in a salty stream. Sorry, David flew to her and held her tightly. I'm sorry you had to see that. It's my fault. Melody pressed harder against him. She whispered through her sobs. No, it's fine. He really was a monster. He deserved it. David pulled back gently. It was only then that Melody noticed a slit in his shirt. God, you're hurt? David waved it off with a smile. It's nothing, just a scratch. Melody tried to pull his shirt out of his pants, but froze when she saw his blackened skin. Are you dying? David caught her hands in his and gently squeezed them. I'm immortal, silly. One wound won't kill me. He kissed her hands and suddenly scooped her up and took flight. Still smiling, he carried her to the front door of the Astrea Detective Agency. He grew serious with equal suddenness once he set her down. I know I was a fool for making all those incredible promises to you, but I have to try to fight for this world. After all, it was humans who gave me you. Melody pressed her lips together. She found herself unable to respond. She wanted to run away with him, but she also understood that if Ball won, there would be nowhere left to run to. Leave, little witch. The farther you are from here, the calmer I'll be while I'm snapping our enemies' necks. And if you lose? They refused to accept that option. He stepped closer and gently lifted her chin. Just before he kissed her, he whispered against her lips, I never lose. His kiss was too tender. It was so quiet and calm that it felt like a goodbye. Malek couldn't hold back her tears. The minty taste turned salty. David pulled away and took to the sky at once, not giving himself a chance to stay. I love you. Never forget that. He darted toward the garden. The wind picked up her quiet confession. It trailed behind him. I love you too. And now we continue forward. But this is important because no doubt there's going to be an ending for each of them, right? We're going to have to see the ending for each of them. So now that I've got them all to the halfway point, at least they're at the halfway point, so I don't have to play the whole episode while I'm doing replays to get all the way to their scene at the very end. So from now, we're going to carry on with David Raphael. Samus was still holding the dome in place. He stood above Astrea deep in thought. The firstborn whispered meaningless words into the void, not addressing anyone in particular. If this world doesn't need light, then why did Shefa create me? I haven't saved a single soul, but I've destroyed so many, and they never reached for me. My power only awakened sinful desires in them. Samus leaned toward her face. He ignored her lament. He didn't dare torture her physically in front of Mikael. Besides, their original plan was slightly different anyway. What are you really afraid of, Astrea? The conversation was interrupted by David. He landed nearby. Without turning his head, Samus asked, How are our colleagues doing? Everyone except Samus stared at the demon. David's gaze, directed at the superior, brimmed with hatred. David wanted to break his neck, but Mikael stopped him before he could do something irreversible. Is Melody safe? Yes. That's what matters. Puzzled, Samus turned toward the Archangel's voice and asked, Where's Furius? He's escorting her to a secluded spot. The angel nodded and murmured, At last, she's accepted our help and chosen to hide from the end of the world. Better late than never. Samus opened his mouth to add something else, but froze. The garden trees rustled. It was suspiciously abrupt and came from only one direction, as if a wind were forming deep within the greenery. Without saying a word, they all realized that there was no time left for talk. Astrea felt Malek's approach. Fear flickered across her ashen face. His army advanced silently. They rose from the ground in ragged ranks. The dead were raised from a common grave. They weren't in a hurry. They were happy to welcome on the living again. Their leader walked forward with a smile, as though he were meeting old friends, and his shadow stretched behind him. Samus gripped Astrea's shoulder. He was ready to plunge her into her worst nightmare at any moment. The one she had already lived through once before. The present didn't scare the firstborn. He'd realized that as soon as he began to torture her. The enemy wasn't rushing to attack. The immortals didn't provoke him first. When he got close enough, Malek looked down at the corpses at their feet. He whistled and couldn't hold back a snide comment. My God, what happened here? What are you bickering about now, you higher beings? His upbeat mood vanished the moment his gaze locked onto Astrea. He looked at the firstborn with undisguised sorrow. Even his voice changed. It became much softer. You've aged, mother. But you haven't lost your light, even if it has grown dim. His words made Astrea grimace in disgust, but Malek wasn't offended. The expression on her face was the one he was most used to. He clicked his tongue and threw up his hands theatrically. And you've gone blind too. How long ago? What was the last letter of mine that you read? Astrea's hoarse, quiet voice filled the space. I never read a single one. He wasn't surprised. He turned mockingly to his army. Take her. Kill anyone who gets in your way. Meanwhile, I don't like that it pans back to me. That doesn't bode well for me. But I guess I am the main character. Melody heard the trees rustling near the gate. Something was happening in the garden. She could feel it, but she couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't help. She hoped that they would all be strong enough to make it out alive. She certainly wasn't planning on going back. She wasn't thinking about going into the garden, either. Its greenery suddenly felt unfriendly, frightening. The leaves whispered for her to keep her distance, and she did. She stared into the darkness and wondered what it concealed. It will all end today. At first, she really didn't want to leave and go far away. It didn't matter where. But her thoughts made her stay. Melody suddenly decided that no matter how this day ended, she wanted to meet its outcome here. And if this would be a battle of divine forces, she would try to help in the only way a human could. With a prayer and a faith in the light. That love for life is stronger than death. Melody sat down and stared at the charred walls. The house resembled a grave where her hopes and dreams were now buried. She felt like a ghost, bound to these ruins. This is all so ridiculous. To get so attached so quickly. Melody tried to recall the house where she was born and raised. She didn't even know if it was still standing or if it held any memories of her. Maybe now, in a place where she had once prayed every morning, teenagers scared each other for fun. Sneaking into the abandoned property and telling creepy tales. Drinking alcohol, laughing until their stomachs hurt, and loving life. Doing all the things that were never done within those walls. For some reason, she was certain that her father's cult grounds would be abandoned. But that thought didn't evoke any feelings in her. You always demanded too much. At first, Melody thought she had imagined it. Her father's voice was quiet and sorrowful, but unmistakable. It came from the garden. Attention, love, answers. It's too much to ask my father for love. Look where that got you. Melody stood up, squared her shoulders, and straightened her back. She stared into the darkness and waited for his gaze to meet hers. Why'd you come? What do you want? I'm not here of my own will. And I want to live again, but for that to happen, everyone must die. Melody froze like a statue. Her eyes scanned the dense wall of greenery, searching for a familiar shape. You always made me wait. Her father stepped forward, tired of waiting now, too. He took the first step toward her, parting the branches with blackened skeletal hands, and the darkness followed. I mean, honestly, what really did you expect by staying so close to... They all told you to leave. I mean, I know you don't remember all the timelines where the rest of them told you to leave, but, like, every one of them told you to get out of here. And you decided to stay. So, I mean, just know this is a result, so... You know. His face had become a frozen mask. It reflected all the horrors of the pit, his new home. Not to say that it wouldn't have been drawn to her wherever she went, but I'm just saying it was highly more likely that you knew the shadows were from the garden and saying that he just came from the garden. I'm just saying. You made it easy. His skin was pulled so taut that his eyeballs bulged outward, as if they were about to fall out of their sockets. Look what's become of you. Her words made him freeze. It was impossible to tell from his face what emotion had stopped him. Do you think your mother has said it any better? I'm rotting, but at least I'm not boiling alive in a bubbling cauldron. He fell silent and scrutinized her with a frenzied gaze. Melody said nothing in return. She had processed the trauma that her father had inflicted on her countless times. She had talked to him over and over again in her mind. She had so many things to say, but now there were no words left. No hatred, no need for anything to be asked or proven. The only things building up inside her were exhaustion and anger, because even now he'd find a way to show up. Found a way to ruin what might be her last day on Earth. I couldn't love you knowing that you didn't belong to me. You were the lamb, and you failed even in that role. Melody had only one thought. No matter what the end may be, she didn't want to face it beside him. She turned away, unable to endure his presence any longer. And at that moment, her heart skipped a beat. A massive crowd of pit dwellers was waiting for her at the gates, with hungry, burning eyes. Cassiel. Cassiel already knew how many souls the realm of Abaddon contained, so upon hearing the order, he summoned all his hounds. I hope you're hungry. The ground beneath their feet rumbled so fiercely that it seemed to want to join the fight too. Cassiel took off first and rushed ahead. His most loyal warriors emerged from the gaping maw of hell after him. Whoa. That's incredible. I gotta save that one. I don't know. The dead collided with the hounds in a frenzy. It seemed as if they had been waiting for this moment the entire time they were underground. Both sides had one thing in common, a burning sense of hunger. It opened their mouths as wide as possible and drove them forward. Chunks of flesh flew in all directions. The dead quickly picked up the wolves' habits. They bit into their backs with their rotten teeth. The beast howled. The hunger was now joined by the will to live. Cassiel flew straight into the thick of it. He beheaded enemies and sliced off limbs. He cleared the path for his hounds and led them forward. Somnus. Still sheltered by the dome, Somnus gently cupped Astrea's face in his hands. She closed her eyes. Only for a moment, though. Then she opened them, terrified. The time has come. The darkness in front of her gave way to something even darker. Her past. The immortal had studied her memories in detail. He now recreated the worst one. Astrea screamed when she found herself among the humans who had betrayed her. Please stop. Unmoved by her pleas, Somnus hissed. Call Baal and it'll all end. Mikael. I know we felt like we needed one more body, but I'm not entirely sure what after the whole debacle with Furius, that they didn't just get rid of this guy. The Archangel wasn't surprised when Malek emerged right in front of him. He had been anticipating it and was ready. He raised his sword and stared expectantly at his unarmed opponent. If you want to fight, then take a weapon. Malek was delighted by the offer. You didn't mind my empty hands when you had the spear. What's changed now? Mikael didn't reply. Malek accepted the offer with a smile. A weapon formed in his hand, woven from the abyssal darkness trailing behind him. You do realize that you can't win, don't you? The light will win. Malek laughed. He tossed the weapon in his hand playfully. You're destroying the light right now. You don't even need it. Do you even understand what you're fighting for? Mikael stepped closer, preparing to strike. Is that too late, Mikael? I'm willing to accept all the lost. Malek leaped back and blocked the first blow. Baal is merely hastening the inevitable. Is it worth dying for? The next strike was harder to deflect. Mikael handled his sword far better than Abaddon ever had. The fight itself is the meaning of life, Malek. Only the dead surrender. Oh, the dead don't surrender. You'll find that out for yourself soon. Mikael nearly split his chest open. He drove him back away from Astrea. Impressed, Malek obediently retreated. Well, I mean, sure, you moved him back from Astrea, but the person who's done most of the hurt, actual hurt to her, is still hurting her right now. That's the ironic part. Like, besides having to birth him, like, having to deal with him as a child being very creepy, like, how much has Malek actually done to her? And how much was in her head that she just felt guilty about creating him to begin with? Or bringing him here? I don't know. I mean, she turned him into her worst enemy, in her mind, but like, I don't know, it's strange, I don't know. Impressed, Malek immediately retreated toward the wolves, which howled and snarled as they tore through his army. David. David soared into the sky, leaving the walking dead to Cassiel. His wound was aching more and more. He was really starting to regret not having Mikael treat it. His regeneration was failing, and now it was too late to look for Mikael and ask. The Archangel swung his sword and pressed forward against Malek, the latter clearly taking some kind of perverse pleasure in what was happening. He felt that Abaddon had more surprises in store. Astrea howled. Darkness spread beneath her feet, but it was too soon to let her son near her. He was supposed to take her to Baal, but Baal was in no hurry to save the firstborn. Or maybe she simply refused to return to him. How much time do we have left? The sky suggested that they didn't have much. The dark gray clouds began to tear open, releasing winged reinforcements. Immortals who had sided with Abaddon spilled out one after another. David sighed heavily. He counted about a dozen. We can't let them reach Somnus. Oh, so they know he's doing that. How strange. I'm sorry, I thought the whole idea was, yeah, let's not let him torture her more. Do they not consider that torture? Because I do. Okay, so y'all all just some weirdos. Sure. The angel hovered nearby, golden light flickered on his fingertips. Save your strength, you'll still have to seal the portal. Raphael nodded and flew off to divide their forces. Oh, so y'all really want this portal to happen? Like, y'all serious about this? This is how you're choosing to do this. Y'all decide to just go with that plan. I mean, I don't have a better one. But that's what y'all decided to run with? Alright. Okay. Noted. Raphael nodded and flew off to divide their forces. David clenched his jaw and took on half of the uninvited guests. What could have possibly made them all so enticed by the end of the world? Honestly, anything better than dealing with heaven and them being overbearing and obnoxious? Maybe they thought that they would be able to rat it out here, and then this guy will somehow come and take over heaven, and they'd be living it up. Who knows? He even saw a pair of white wings among the black and red ones. The angel spotted him and charged. Have you completely lost it up there in heaven? David deflected the blow but didn't strike back. He genuinely wanted an answer. Do you even know who you came here to fight for? Angel smirked wickedly and hissed. I do. I'll kill you in the name of the true God. But for whom are you spilling your blood? That scavenger is your new god? Or is it the one who can't get rid of his chains and is whining for help? I chose my own god. You're not even worthy of being his slave, wretch. David was so distracted by the conversation that he almost didn't notice the enemies sneaking up behind him. Just perfect. Use the blades, use the power. What power? You mean the one of Galatia? I don't know if you should use that. What power? Why do we get a choice here? I don't want to lead him down the wrong path. Because that Galatia power sounds like it's bad news. Let's just take the blades out. David attacked with fury, just like his father had taught him. He tricked his opponents into moving exactly where he wanted them to. They positioned themselves to be hit by his blows. His strength was fading fast, but the number of enemies was dwindling. The immortals fell to the ground, where Cassiel's hungry wolves were already waiting. After catching his breath, David looked for Raphael. The angel soared above. He burned the attacking immortals with his light. Distracted, the demon only heard the whistle of an icy spear cutting through the air when it was too late. But when he turned, he saw a fireball melting the ice. Do you always stand around gaping in the middle of a battle? David froze and raised his eyebrows in surprise. Fulnier hurled another fireball at a different immortal, forcing him to retreat. Malek's supporter clearly didn't want to fight two beings at once. What are you doing here? I want to kill Somnus. To get revenge for everything he's done. David chuckled quietly but said nothing. Are you gonna get in my way? No. Furius smiled back at him. But first, we have to send Astrea at a ball. Well, that's your task, not mine. Send Astrea at a ball? Why? What is wrong with you people? The demon would have liked to chat with her some more, but his side flared with pain again. Dang it. Furius knows the cause of his grimace. She said bluntly, "That wound's going to kill you." And you're as optimistic as ever. Having finished off the last enemy, Raphael was about to join the Astreans, but then he heard something and paused. David didn't like his hesitation. "Raphael, what do you hear?" But the answer revealed itself. It came in the form of countless tiny enemies. Locusts. Another one of Abaddon's endless, insatiable armies had joined the first. A black cloud expanded, it squirmed and buzzed, announcing the beginning of the end. David couldn't help but be impressed by the number. There were so many locusts that they covered the sky, consumed it, claiming the heavens. Furius was the first to hurl a fireball at them, but though it burned 100, 1,000 took their place. I hate to be eaten alive. Raphael unleashed his light. The insects swarmed toward him, blinded by the desire to get closer. Are you out of your mind, Raphael? The demon lunged forward. Furius rushed after him. The whole thing felt like an absurd dream. Their motives were used to fighting opponents of equal size and power. The feeling of tiny teeth as they tried to bite into flesh was new. Furius' fire was the most effective, but even that wasn't enough. Raphael mercilessly scorched them with light, but the creature still latched onto his wings. David felt tiny mouths biting into his skin before they crawled into his open wound. Furius was all ablaze now, fending them off more than attacking. The sky became a living, buzzing organism. "Fly to the ground. I'll burn them all." The demons exchanged glances, then they dove down and practically tumbled into the other swarm of enemies. The dead now occupied the entire garden. They greeted the demons just as fiercely as the locusts had. But their jaws were bigger and their hands were much stronger. There were so many of them that for every one cast cut down, 10 more took its place. Cassiel had lost almost all of his hounds. He walked over corpses that now lay in mounds beneath him. His arms felt like lead, his legs were numb, and his wings were bleeding. But he continued to hack away at the relentless, endless army of the damned. He pressed forward. He ignored pain, loss, and the possibility of death, for he was a true warrior. Why are you resisting us? They were everywhere. When David fell into their hands, he began to doubt his choice. Now thin, bony fingers of the dead sank into his wound. David slashed at them like a madman, but even that wasn't enough. The dead were an army that the pit had been hoarding throughout human history. The darkness devoured severed parts and spat out new ones. It was desperate to strip David of his immortality. The fire burning around Furius didn't scare them. The fire burning within them was far hotter, far fiercer. Come with us. Furius gasped for air. She was weakening, but she couldn't die like this. A brilliant white light flashed above them, blinding everyone for a moment. Raphael burned all the locusts, but it cost him dearly, I bet. He fell to the ground alongside the black ashes of their scorched bodies. Upon seeing this, Mikael abandoned Malek. He raced towards the angel, clearing a path through the hungry hell dwellers. Malek didn't chase him. His sword dissolved and he laughed. That's your main lesson for today, immortals. You must reckon with the ants beneath your feet. Otherwise, when there are so many of them that they spill forth, it will be too late. The ants will crush you, not with strength, but with numbers. They're saying because they just left them there to rot, and then nobody decided to do anything with the pit and just left it down there like, oh, I guess it'll just stay there. And then now, look at what happened. But Sheffer probably knew, which is why he had created the whole book thing and to stop them and this and that. But of course he didn't say anything. Because it suited him just fine to just shove people down there and forget about them. He appeared beside the shimmering dome and paused to admire the scene before him. Samus couldn't see anything around him. He was reliving Astrea's worst nightmare with her. Astrea pleaded with Chef to spare the humans. Malek couldn't help but be moved. Wake up, Mother. Samus twitched and jumped to his feet when he saw Malek. Won't you join us? The people you love to torture on your little island are waiting for you. His eyes darted frantically as he searched for the immortals. The sight before him rendered him speechless. Yeah, while you've been over here doing whatever this is. And because you failed to get help somehow, after all the influence you thought you had, that you've been glazing about this whole time, you could do nothing but torture this poor woman. The Strains were dying on the battlefield, overwhelmed by the sheer number of their enemies. Unable to fly up, unable to resist so many enemies. Go to them. If I tell him to resist, does this get him killed? I don't know. Morbid curiosity. Samus' eyes filled with white light, but Malek didn't let him use his power. The lazy swipe of his hand, he shot out the dome and allowed the dead to enter the tight circle. Bitter and ravenous, they dragged their immortal away without ceremony. Astrea broke free from her past, but not from the nightmare. She howled louder when she sensed her son. Her blind eyes filled with tears that were black as tar. They rolled down the wrinkled line of her face, down to the ground, and the grass beneath her feet began to rot. As if poisoning all life, Astrea drained the light from everything around her, and she was losing it herself, slowly but inevitably. You're just as much a mistake as I am. The nature around them became strange and distorted. Black roses sprouted around her frail, hunched form. She tried to stand, but she couldn't. Baal had heard her and was pulling her down. The firstborn cried out when he sensed him. She pleaded harder. Please, don't let him take me. Her first plea struck Malek. He froze. You're asking me? Sobbing, Astrea spoke quietly, brokenly, as if the mere act of asking had drained her completely. Maybe you were right. Start reaching for the light, humans had to be plunged into darkness. The darkness tightened its grip on her. Malek suddenly knelt in front of her. Were they really worthy of your light, Astrea? Created in the likeness of who? Winged creatures who hear no one's voices but their own? Their purpose is to become fertilizer for the new world. Well, that will begin soon. Don't be afraid. Feel the death of the past and those who ruled it. Astrea felt it all. The pain of the pit dwellers multiplied and filled everything. Her winged kin could barely breathe. They were consumed by that pain, and her heart soaked it up like a sponge, slowly and relentlessly turning black. Oh no. She's losing all her light. And back to me and how I'm gonna get out of this. Malek's army advanced, tightening the circle. Soon there would be nowhere left to retreat. Melee simply froze. Why are you alive and not us? Why do we hurt so much? Why are we so cold? Melody could barely breathe as she listened to the chorus of voices. They whispered, pleaded, wailed, and never once did they fall silent. Their faces twisted in such horrific grimaces that everything around her felt like a nightmare. What did the pit do to them? Some were like her father, still recognizably human. Melody could make out their genders, ages. They said terrifying yet coherent things. I didn't want this, I didn't. He promised that my son would guide me to a better life, free of pain and sorrow. But that life still hasn't come. How do I soothe this pain? Give me something, anything to ease my torment. Who promised? Was it Malek? Ball? Shefa? They climbed over each other, reaching for her like moths to a flame. I'm gonna have to assume Malek, though. Those whose bodies had turned into blackened bones whispered the same words. Alive. I want to live too. Melody was surrounded on all sides. She began to suffocate. The hopelessness felt like a cruel joke. She could have simply walked away just minutes ago, but now... What do? I don't know. The situation reminded her of the demon's prophetic speech. The summoning words sprang to mind. The words were etched clearly in her hand as if fate itself was urging her to call on him for help. Oh no. Looks like I have no choice. Summon him or don't. Oh man. Do we really want to owe him a favor? But do we have a choice? It's saying like we still do have a choice. But what else will we do otherwise? She moaned the incantation, then stumbled. Only the name left. What was it again? Sire. The demon emerged from nowhere. A gray mist spread in front of Melody. His voice sounded so cheerful, as if they were best friends. Hey, sweetheart. How's it going? Melody barely held back a hysterical scream. She felt the dead around her were a better indication of how things were going than words ever could be. Badly, I wouldn't have called you otherwise. Sire's eyes gleamed playfully. Is it really that bad? I've been summoned when things were much, much worse. She had no idea how to respond. The demon prompted her. So, what do you want? How do I escape them? Sire floated up and down, level with Melody's eyes. He swayed as if he were floating on waves, so calm, so happy. So you want advice? Alright, I'll give it to you. Don't be afraid of them. Don't fight. Relax and imagine that they're just people. The demon fell silent. That's it? She was unable to believe her ears and nearly burst into tears. Did I ask the question incorrectly somehow? Warnings from her colleagues echoed in her mind. He's gonna take my soul for that nonsense, isn't he? His smoky mouth stretched into a grin. What are you imagining? I'm not gonna take anything important for something so small. Relax. I'll just ask you to write a fairy tale about me and read it to children. Oh no. What are you gonna do to those kids? Stop taking over kids. Puzzled Melody asked, a fairy tale? Yes, mortal. Doesn't sound so hard, does it? Yeah, but what does it mean? Metal was angry at herself and at him. She hissed. What if I die right now? Well, then we'll have to cancel the deal. One of the dead grabbed her sleeve but immediately let go. What a waste of time. Sai didn't wait for thanks, nor did he wait for curses. Well, take care, Melody. I won't get in your way. The demon vanished in the thin air as quickly as he had appeared a minute earlier. In that single minute, the dead had already drawn close to her. You owe Sire now. Was that worth? I think on a different playthrough, I'm going to decide not to summon him. If all we have to do is basically nothing, then I would have been fine either way, and I wouldn't have to owe him his story, letting him into children's heads. My own children killed me. They got tired of living under the same roof as an old man. I wanted a better life for them, but didn't get the chance to make it happen. They were so close that Melody could see the sorrow in their eyes, an all-consuming, excruciating sorrow. The dead groaned and moaned. The more she looked, the clearer their words became. They're just people. They used to be like me. That realization calmed her. The dead looked at her with oppressive expectation, and Melody decided to follow Sire's ridiculous advice. The dead huddled over each other, but Melody tried to hear every voice, tried to recognize and understand all of their pain. They had all been deceived, either by someone or by life itself. They were all lonely and abandoned, even if all their descendants were rotting in the pit with them. They're just miserable creatures, like the rest of us. Malek looked at them not with fear, but with compassion. She looked and genuinely wished to see, and the dead looked into her eyes in return. She didn't know how to comfort them. In this world, there was so little that could bring them peace. Melody knew only one thing. Even in the pit, there was light. The light that they had so desperately reached for. And she decided to be that light for them. Give rest, O Lord, to the souls of thy departed servants. She didn't look at their bodies, twisted with death. She didn't look at their faces, contorted with horror. She looked into their eyes and saw their immortal souls. My parents, my kin, benefactors Ethan, Adam, Philip, Rosalia. Melody recalled the names of all the followers of Malek that she knew, and when she had finished her list, she had heard more names from the crowd. Rosa, Anthony, Richard, Hilda, Edric. She listened and repeated them, She prayed for every soul that stood in front of her. Forgive them all their sins, O Lord, voluntary and involuntary. The dead stilled, and when she said the final name, they fell silent. A long forgotten and deeply yearned for peace appeared on their faces. Huh. I wonder if Abaddon would do that without him, though. Raphael came to his senses and immediately smelled the scent of oncoming death. There was only one reason he was still alive. Mikael was pouring all his strength into protecting him. Raphael, fly away. There was madness all around them. It was pure chaos. The Archangel shouted again. I won't be able to save you. Go. Raphael soared upward. He took in the garden with stunned eyes. The ground had become a churning sea of human bodies, and his loved ones were drowning in it. For the first time, he began to realize how much they meant to him. It was only on the brink of their demise that he saw that he had a family all along, one closer to him than his so-called father. Power flared within him, ignited by fear. He had to choose how to spend what little he had left, on an attempt to save the Astraeans, or on a chance to seal Abaddon. And Raphael chose... Raphael gathered his remaining strength. Divine light filled him. He wasn't sure that he could burn all of the dead. There were just too many of them. But he could buy the others enough time to escape. Mikael was trying to reach David, but froze when he noticed what the angel was doing. You won't save us, Raphael. You have to seal the portal. For the first time Raphael disobeyed, he continued gathering power. He flew higher, trying to grasp the scale of the looming disaster. But the sea of bodies was endless. Astrea sat in the center of the chaos of bodies. She was cradled in Malek's arms. She seemed to have lost her mind completely. She clung to the son she hated, begging him for salvation. And just as Raphael was about to release all the light that had been forced inside him, a sudden silence fell. All the pit dwellers stilled. The voices quieted. Even Malek raised his head in confusion. Raphael could have sworn that he heard names echoing through the garden. Is that me? The dead spoke them too softly, as if they were speaking not to everyone, but to someone specific. They listened with true reverence to a voice that only they could hear. The exhausted immortals froze, unable to believe their eyes. Death had come so close, but it suddenly let them go. Even Malek paused in surprise. He listened along with everyone else. Then he smiled at his army's small act of disobedience. No one has prayed for them in so long that it feels like a miracle to them now. In a world where angels are indifferent to humans, any act of faith feels extraordinary. Malek shot the battered psalmist a disgusted look and continued. And meaningless. Do you immortals still believe in prayer? None of them answered. They all sat frozen, awaiting death. No one had the strength left to resist Abaddon's army. Malek sighed heavily. He looked at the faces of his soldiers. He spoke to them gently, as if they were children. Sincere faith still has the power to awaken your souls. How charming. The person who reached you is a mortal whose life was broken by that same faith. Angels came down from heaven to completely mutilate this mortal's fate. And yet she's the one who remembered faith. Her, not our heavenly messengers. He looked at Astrea and shook his head in disappointment. You know, I think you got a very weak but sweet replacement coming up. And I'd rather not abandon her the way your father abandoned you. Instead of ordering the dead to finish off the immortals, he calmly said, "The light won't die with you, Astrea. Don't mourn it. A small part of it still remains here. Humanity has every chance of achieving both salvation and destruction, and we will manage both states perfectly well, with or without us. As for me, this time, I choose you. Because if I don't, no one else will." He gently cradled Astrea against him and smiled. "Please, Malek." Shouldn't say exactly what she was asking for, but he already knew. By admitting her weakness to him, she was asking him to give the world a chance. And he only agreed when he saw that there were still humans in this world who deserved that chance. Father won't be pleased. The firstborn trembled. She clutched at her son with weak, shaking fingers, and Malek allowed Baal to take them both. But before he vanished, he spoke, addressing no one in particular. "At least try to preserve the light this time." "Raphael, do it." The portal opened fully, absorbing both mother and son. Raphael heard the rattle of chains. He felt the hatred and death echoing from beneath the ground. He really couldn't allow this monster to enter the world. He soared high and released everything that his father had given him. He emptied himself completely, gladly pouring out that part of him. "You must give it all." And Raphael gave it all. The divine light drained from his limbs like blood. It rushed toward his heart in a fierce torrent, to the place where the power originated. The portal resembled an open wound that needed to be cauterized. It hissed, unwilling to be sealed for good. But the angel was resolute in fulfilling his role. He was sick of the power granted to him by Shefa. He longed to purge it from himself entirely, so that nothing inside of him would remain to remind him of Father. He wanted every fragment that bore his image to vanish. But when almost all the light was gone, he realized that his life was draining away too. Just as Father has promised, he was dying alone with his destiny. The power burned him from within and finally turned against him. It was a light that had spread across the world on the first day of its creation. The light that was created to banish darkness. And the pure light of the Creator burned the darkness along with Raphael's flesh. It was so hot that he felt like tearing off his own skin. Raphael screamed. He could feel the power flowing out of him with his blood. It streamed from his eyes. He managed to see that the portal was almost sealed before the fire of that power blinded him. It burned out his eyes for good. The world he was meant to save was plunged into darkness. And with their leader gone, Malek's army crumbled across the ground, leaving wounded immortals behind. Malek couldn't believe her eyes. All the dead had vanished. The garden fell silent and calm as if nothing had ever happened. Did we win? Thanks to you, actually! Malek was afraid to rejoice too soon. She stepped toward the trees. Is Baal really gonna let that rest, though? She carefully pulled into the shadows cast on the ground, but saw nothing in them. We really did win. Hot pause on that, hot pause on that. The world survived. It didn't collapse or shatter. She decided to ignore all the warnings and go to them. But with each step, a particular feeling bloomed inside her. Distrust or hope. Is this skeptic versus faith? If so... She was alive, and she felt that the immortals were too. She believed it so sincerely that she couldn't suppress a reassuring thought. Now we can handle anything. She was so uplifted by hope that she didn't notice how wildly her heart was pounding. She took another step and staggered. Her head spun from everything she had been through. Melody tried to take a deep breath. Oh, that screeching sound. But for some reason the air wouldn't come. A sharp pain tightened her chest. Her body convulsed. A warm, thick liquid poured from her mouth. I'm sorry, what? It all happened too fast. The blood that spread before her eyes blurred in her fading consciousness, and a ringing filled her head. She didn't even feel herself fall to the grass. Her body went stiff. The pain vanished, leaving only an animalistic terror. She shut her eyes and tried to calm her pounding heart. What's happening to me? You're dying, Melody. I poisoned you. Melody opened her eyes in horror, but the world remained black. You're coming to your senses, but for now, listen. It's over. Malek has been defeated. Raphael slid him and Astrea away. He crouched down and peered into her terrified eyes. He smiled. God is on our side. He helped us win. No. He didn't do jack. Okay? I helped you win. So explain the poisoning crap. Malek's army has stopped. Yeah, because of me. Melody didn't even try to argue. Her body had betrayed her. Shefa is dead. There is no God to help you. I don't know what you're imagining. He is gone. Only fear flooded her senses. It denied her the chance to tell Summons the shocking truth. It wasn't God who had helped them, but a human. But you did well. You could have given it to Malek and helped the beast, or you could have handed it to the Chosen One and given humanity a chance. You made the right choice. You fulfilled your destiny. And perhaps if not for Raphael's prophecy, you would have had a chance to live. Summon's expression turned mournful, almost tragic. He spoke softly and sorrowfully. I'm sorry I had to end like that. No, you're not. Otherwise, you wouldn't have killed her. What are you talking about? You were so scared that you decided to use a slow poison? For real? Fucking cockroach. Prophecy had been different, I would not have harmed you. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. I can't let you leave. No. No. You're the only one spewing darkness around. The only one. You're so freaking deluded that you can't even tell. And it's insane. Let us say silence. Thomas wasn't expecting an answer. It was his confession, and she was his unwilling priest. Whatever. Okay. After a short pause, he sighed. Yeah, okay. Maybe we can kind of snap your neck and poison your water. Yeah, okay. Yes, no, you're To Malek's defeat, I might have found you before they did. That was the only thing questionable friendship led to? That was what this all led to. We had to be nice to them this whole time so he could be sorry about poisoning me? His finger dissolved into the darkness. Melly opened her eyes. Saw the sky above her. It was still gray and stormy. No one was rushing to snatch her from death's grip, and death was already looming over her. Its reeking breath drew out a final gasp. Somewhere behind her, Axel whimpered. No matter how much he nudged his nose against her cold palm, he couldn't make his owner get up. Melody no longer felt the tears sliding down her cheek. The last thing she felt was a burning sense of injustice as the sky was sliced open by angels. There was a whole army of at least 50 beautiful winged figures. As she watched them descend into the depths of the garden with weapons in hand, she suddenly realized something. So this is heaven's reward for the service. Wait. Are you telling me they're coming now? To kill them who just fought for this? Ah, that's why Furius was so full of himself. Like, no, we don't know why no one's coming. Oh, we don't know. No. Not that we're gonna send them after you guys do all the work. And she stopped clinging to this unfair, ugly life. Melanie hoped that death would bring her freedom from the past, from the present, from the future. When her heart beat for the last time, she even felt something like joy. So this is the end, she thought. And she exhaled all her worries with her final breath. Where her peace didn't last long, the salvation of darkness parted. Melissa realized that everything before this had been a fleeting dream. All the images from the past had become insubstantial ghosts. Had they ever truly existed? Her present was this. Reach for the light, child. A quiet, familiar voice from the past brought her to her senses for a moment. Fear retreated, unable to stand against hope. Melanie lifted her head, and indeed she saw the light. It reminded her of the greenery of a cozy greenhouse, of the serene tranquility of a vibrant garden. It reminded her of Astrea and her light. Help me. And she did. Death had promised to be restless, but Melanie no longer felt any unrest. There was only emptiness and the long-awaited realization that it was finally over. Her arms turned into vines. The stench of decay was replaced by the scent of flowers. The fear dissolved, leaving only emptiness and peace. There was no more pain, no more worry. The past crumbled into meaningless dust and was scattered to the wind. The fog of the future cleared and no longer held any promises. Only the present remained. Pure and calm like the mirror smooth surface of water. Melanie closed her eyes and melted into that feeling, and her tranquil sleep was endless. Thanks to your choices, death will be liberation. Filoni had always known better than to trust angels, but even she hadn't expected such treachery. The moment the Astraeans completed their mission, the angels simply decided to get rid of them. Heaven sang them a funeral march. It released those meant to play the final note from the vortex. Bastards. Saunders could barely stand, but the Astraeans didn't look any better. Shut up. Shut up. The demon hissed and bared her teeth. If all this is for me, then you've gone a bit overboard. Saunders smiled. He burned with impatience. Uh-huh. Cassiel clenched the hilt of his sword. It was thick with blood. Will you tell us why? The squirrely rat doesn't even know. He's out of his freaking tree. You shouldn't have stuck your nose where it didn't belong. It's not her problem to listen to Filonia. She's always been trouble. Filonia walked over to Cassiel and stood beside her. Listen to him. Still. He can't accept it. You did this. You are a piece of crap. That's all you need to say. No, her fault. His fault. If only you hadn't done. If only you. Shut up. Like, I don't want to read anything else that comes out of his mouth. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm furious. Like my tears, like a little bit of sadness, but mostly just frustration. I am so angry. Filonia walked over to Cassiel and stood beside him. Flames danced in her hands. They were too weak to win, but strong enough to take a few more lives. The truth is always expensive, Saunders. That's what makes it valuable. It's a pity that I didn't kill you when I had the chance. But I'll side through the Astraeans again for the chance to gut your scrawny belly. Even if I have to die. Mikael watched the exchange silently. He saw no point in talking. Everything was clear enough. The secrets that Heaven was hiding from them cost more than just their lives. Especially now that their duty had been fulfilled and the agency no longer existed. Mikael didn't feel betrayed. He wasn't burning with a desire for revenge. He was just dead tired. Only moments remained before the angels landed and the carnage began. Archangel surveyed the battlefield. He couldn't tell if Raphael was alive. The angel was too far away. He definitely had no eyes. The fact they hadn't regenerated was a grim sign. David was clearly unconscious, breathing unevenly. There was hardly any distance between them, but Sana stood in the way. Mikael could feel the demon's life draining away. He had to act. It was now or never. And the choice was clear. As soon as the cleanup crew touched down, the Archangel made his decision. He chose to fight to the bitter end, to save David, to save Raphael. Does this choice even mean anything? Is there even a purpose to this? Okay, let's think this through. If we save Raphael, all his power is spent, he can't do anything. Fight to the bitter end, they're already all out of strength. That's not going to do anything. Saving David, I still don't see how it's going to do anything, but they keep talking about this power of Galatia. Maybe if he uses that, it can help them. I didn't want him to use it because I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it does, but everybody seems afraid of it. I think it's the best option. Raphael can't freaking see right now, poor thing. Mikael flew up into the sky and rushed toward David. Hold them off. Flynn and Cassiel nodded in unison like in the old days. They both took battle stances and readied themselves. I never thought that it would come to this. I told you from the beginning. Before plunging back into battle, Cassiel smiled. I meant us fighting side by side again. This is a nightmare. I just hope I don't die next to you. Meanwhile, Archangel grabbed David so forcefully that he immediately came to. Dang it. The cause of his condition was obvious. Mikael pressed on the darkened wound. He poured all his strength into the demon, draining himself dry. Call Sire, David. Get us out of here. Without waiting for an answer, Mikael stood up and drew his sword. He was ready to fly to the other's aid. Name everyone. Melody, Fel, Cass, Raphael, and us. Have him take us to Snowy Valley. Got that? Archangel took off after receiving a faint nod in return. Don't you dare die before you do it. There was no time for thinking. The plan over, David immediately whispered, Sire. And the demon appeared instantly as if he had been there all along. He probably had. The first thing the Sire did was chuckle. David, are you dying or what? He looked around enjoying David's misery. And look at your friends, they're practically corpses. The strains were surrounded on all sides. The imbalance was painfully obvious and they were almost out of strength. David grimaced and spoke faster. I want to make a deal. Sire said nothing. He watched the battle as if mocking David. Hey, are you deaf? Do you think heaven is really that afraid of these three, or are other guests coming? I don't know what you're talking about. Sire turned away from the battle and leaned in closer. Someone's coming, and I'm curious to know if they're after your souls. If you're curious, stay, but first get us to Snowy Valley. After naming everyone who was to be taken, David coughed up blood. You sure you want Melody? David resisted the urge to ignore the question. He answered clearly so that Sire Damel understood. Everyone I named. And you know what I'll ask for in return, right? David nodded with effort. He reached out his hand, and Sire offered his in return. Ooh. The voices he had learned to ignore since childhood flooded his head again. There were too many. Too much hatred, pain, and hunger, so intense that it chilled his blood. Then it's a deal, David. I'll help you, and you'll help us. The voices? It wasn't just siren smoke that touched his bloody, trembling fingers. He felt a faint touch of all the demons. I'll do everything I can. We believe in you, kid. 72 voices cried out in joy. So loud that his eardrums nearly burst. What do they need help with? And just before the saving haze swept their strains away, David saw a silhouette descending from the sky. It was a young woman unlike any of them, and her aura was so bright that the hairs on his body stood on end. The newcomer drew all of Simon's attention. He didn't even notice their strains vanishing. The sight of her took his breath away and twisted his insides into a tight knot. With a bored expression, the young woman lazily scanned everyone as she hovered above them. Like I told you, Shefa is dead. Freaking plague. Oh boy. What do we have here? Something inside the angel snapped at her voice. He heard a warning in it, but didn't have time to alert the others. The immortals rushed at her. She casually waved her fingers in their direction. Shoo, you insects. The heads of his entire army burst like soap bubbles, spraying the ground with blood and brain matter. Were the angels that came down? Simon stared at her dazedly, unable to utter a single word. He rasped and barely heard his own voice. Who are you? Plague. Your new mistress. No. Just kill him. Just kill him. I do not want to see him have a secret 3. I will lose my mind. Oh! Why do you do this? Why do you bring back everybody I hate? Oh, I hate you. Gosh. Ah! No! Just kill him! Please! Oh, man. Oh, you went and brought back, what's it, the name? Torindo and Trindi, whatever his name is. I don't know, I ain't like him either. You brought that idiot back. You brought back a bunch of idiots. I didn't want to see no more. Yeah, you brought back people that we wanted to see, like, you know, whatever. Why is the city so empty? There isn't anyone to play with. I'm disappointed. No adults, no kids. You changed the minds of the people in the square. They avoided death. Oh, they all would have been here? Oh my googie. Thank goodness. You're gonna have to take the fall for everyone. You save the children in the square. They have lived safe and sound. Save everyone in the square from plague. Go ahead. You can talk now. I can be useful to you. Her mood shifted at lightning speed. Her smile turned into a snarl. Shut up. You speak only when I allow it. Plague approached him slowly. She wrapped her long, graceful fingers around his throat. You have an interesting power. I could use it. So come on, let's visit your island. Without loosening her grip, Plague shot into the sky. She carried the immortal as though he were an object, and the garden was finally silent. But I already know. She's going to use him. Wait, but I'm dead. What? Does she bring me back? Ew. Oh no. Oh no. We know her and her siblings can do stuff like that. I don't like that. And the guard was finally silent. Snowy Valley greeted the uninvited guests on its land with unfriendly howls. The cold pierced them to the bone, but it also brought everyone back to their senses. The barely living Astreans lifted their heads. looked into one another's faces, trying to gauge the extent of their losses. You have no idea. But despite all their wounds, hope, once thought lost, flared in their hearts again. They had been saved. They were together. For a single fleeting moment, that joyful feeling was igniting in all of them, and then it was instantly snuffed out. Not everyone had been saved. Melody was dead. Along with the living, Sarah had transported her long, cold corpse. Snowy Valley itself was made of quiet sorrow. It howled alongside the broken hearts of the immortals who walked through its snow. What is this? What am I, like Snow White? There was no time or space here. There was only grief, scattered like ashes beneath their feet. And they walked forward to bury themselves in the shards of the past forever. They had once believed, loved, and hoped. The coffin was the price for all of those feelings. They carried it in their arms. Its weight pushed them into the ground. It was far too heavy. Inside lay not only the mortal who had trusted them and died, all their feelings rested behind the crystal lid. They kept only a little for themselves, hatred and pain. The world was in chaos, but it had turned its back on them first. Snowy Valley welcomed the outcast as its own. It sheltered them in its ancient ice, promising to preserve their grief. They breathed in its frosty air and allowed their wounded hearts to freeze in its tender hands. Their bodies grew sluggish, their movements stiff. They no longer needed to go anywhere, though. They were where they belonged. But before becoming a petrified symbol of betrayal and pain, David opened the coffin. His heart burned with an infernal fire, but there were no emotions left. He simply wanted to share one last thing with her, death, and to never feel anything ever again. The demon cradled her frozen body against his and stopped breathing. He no longer gave her warmth. Instead, he absorbed her cold. And the valley, a witness to this love, sealed their union in a layer of ice. Cassiel opened the coffin. He felt that he had no right to do so, but he couldn't help himself. He wanted to share with her the last thing they had left, death. Oh man. There's Felonius. He couldn't see her. The whole world had turned into a solid black canvas. But he could feel, and those feelings tore his heart apart. He had wanted to be with her for all eternity, and he didn't give up on his final wish. The Archangel gave her the shards of his broken heart. He cradled her frozen body against his. Interesting. So on Malek's route, it says that all of them opened the coffin. They couldn't bear the thought of her being alone in death, and she wasn't. Abaddon, wherever he was, had left a part of himself by her side. This part enveloped her body, soothed her soul. A sly, ingratiating voice woke them up many months later. Abaddon? The valley had let him in because he had promised it something as well. Ice slabs parted, the mournful figures opened their eyes. He didn't waste time on empty words. He got straight to the point. Do you want revenge on heaven? The figures didn't move, but he felt their hatred. Do you want her back? They didn't need to answer. He knew exactly what they wanted. He knew what everyone in this world wanted. I'll show you the true God. Kneel, and I'll bring you all back to life. You can't be serious. And the ground beneath your feet will burn with righteous fire. His words stirred them and reminded them of the past. Their mortals had harbored a desire for vengeance for so long. They knelt. No. So I lead them into darkness either way just for dying? Wait! The insomnus mother! You piece of... Is he telling me the only reason they get lead into darkness because of my death was because Somnus killed me? If I had been alive, they would not have given into this and to whatever dark god Abaddon is leading them towards, and I don't freaking get it. Want me back in what manner? In what manner will I be alive? Tell me that. Abaddon hissed as he sealed their pact with a brand. Melody will rise and heaven will fall. I didn't ask for all that. And you will bear flaming swords in the name of Shepha-Malum? Are you... I want to scream. Shepha-Malum? He's just as bad as Shepha. I don't want to be ill. I don't want to owe him nothing. I don't want to fight for him. Are you kidding me? And while we're doing so, he's gonna make our lives living hell. Great, I'm alive. To do what? Be tormented? Yeah, congratulations. That was great. No, actually, the story really was great. Wow, that ending to take... I don't even... Lord. And you know Heaven Secret 2 pissed me off. And now this is going to piss me off. Heaven Secret 3 is going to piss me off. All the way off. Okay, so that is the last one of that. It's going to be an almost 3-hour video. Listen. It's very long, and I played through all of the different save files. I remissed everyone. There it is. Finish the story with each of the allies. A difficult choice. I'll give you worth 150 gems because, trust me, playing through all those save files takes a lot of time. And I bought this one the last time. And the last thing I had been seeing was this one little last part. I hadn't read it yet, but here we go. A few days after the battle with Ball, the prisoner heard footsteps and rushed to the bars. She gripped them with her fingers and peered at their approaching figures. When does this take place? She looks like she has her Heaven Secret 2 hair. Is this at the end of Heaven Secret 2? Hopefully not. Or in between Heaven Secret 1 and Heaven Secret 2. Hey, you bastards, let me out of here. Well, no, because the last stuff... No, because Plague is already roaming around. Well, this could be like in the beginning of Heaven's Secret 2, maybe. The figures passed by. They cast motionless glances at her. Oh my god, look at that symbol. The Melodemon's face seemed vaguely familiar to her. For a moment, she froze, then she began pounding on the bars again. You! You're his spawn! You got the same empty look. Let me out! Let me out! Her screams echoed down the hallway, but the demons didn't even turn around. Today, they hadn't come for her. The story doesn't end here. You can continue following the character's fates in the sequel, Heaven's Secret 3, Eternity's End. Okay. That is the end. That is the last time I will open Astrea's Broken Heart. I have played through every single save file exactly the way that I wanted to. Nothing left to do. Other than edit these videos and put this together for you to enjoy on Saturday, roughly. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Because that took a lot of time to record. My goodness, what time is it? It's 4:43 in the morning. Lovely. Okay, yeah, I need to go take care of myself and sleep. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'll edit this and put this together. But anyway, so hopefully you'll see this by like mid-Saturday, depending on where you are, I'm not sure. But anyway, wow, that was frustrating. That was very frustrating. I was very angry. Right at this point, I'm just tired. I'm drained, physically and emotionally. That was a lot. Like, I forgot I even had my tissues ready. I forgot to even use them. I'm just like angrily swiping tears away because I was just. But anyway, yeah, this was a long one. Okay, but there it is. We finished Astrea's Broken Heart. So I hope you guys enjoyed the ride and continue with me on to other stories. Like I said, picking up a Heaven's Secret 2 next, and probably some other ones I dabble with. But yes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!